We are going live. We are live. It is 10-6. The Rams over the Cardinals. 6:58 in the third. Oh, I got to put this up. I'm doing this. 6:58 in the third. It's 10-6 Rams over the Cardinals. All right. Let's see who's got fantasy questions. Gaming on TikTok. Encourage your viewers to send gifts. All right, I'll encourage my viewers to send gifts. Send gifts, everybody. Send gifts. All right, it is 10-6, 6:31 left in the third. And the punt is away. The Rams are punting to the Cardinals. How about today, huh? T. Higgins, 3 touchdowns. In some leagues, 40. In my league, 34. It was half PPR. So crazy great day for some teams. Ruined some teams' probably chances for the championship, and other teams probably looking really good right now. Go Rams. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights is live with us right now. He's saying go Rams. They're up 10-6, as you know, in the third. Very exciting. This game could have that buzz that the last game had, although the Cardinals are out of it, so it doesn't quite have the meaning the Denver Cincinnati game had. So I'm telling you right now, whose team either jumped way up in the percentage to win with T. Higgins today, or who got crushed by T. Higgins today. I know that I'm in 2 championship games, and one player had T. Higgins, and it has really destroyed my chances of winning. Really destroyed my chances of winning, but you just never know. You never know what tomorrow and Monday night's going to bring. So I got to stay positive. I got to stay uh, strong on this one. Lions or Eagles defense? Ask Ryan Patlin. Lions or Eagles defense? Where is all my stuff? Let me just do something real quick. Lions or Eagles? Jonnu without Tua and in the rain or Chig? I would go Chig, Dylan. I'd go Chig. Jonnu without Tua doesn't seem like a good option. They had no offense. Hey, how's it going, Dre's? Again, sorry about that with Lad. I'm not even laughing. Um, I went up against a team that had Lad, and I went up against a team that had Lad and T. Higgins, and they destroyed me. So Brock Bowers or Kittle? Wait, it was Lions. Hold on one second. I was answering another question. I'll get to you in just a second, Dre's. I promise. Of course I will. Lions or Eagles? All right. I would go, because CD Lamb's not playing, I'd go Phillies defense. It's a better defense overall than the Lions. The Lions have really dropped back, probably because of all the injuries, but mainly because of all the injuries. So let's just see here. All right. We got that going on. It's still 10-6. 10-6. Let me just, oh, why is this doing this to me? Why are you doing that? Let's go. Let's go. Where? Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. No, that's not what I wanted. Hold on one second. Cardinals do have the ball, though. And I must have missed it. I guess they missed the extra point. Okay, let me go. Dre's had a question, though. Where is it? Hey, how's it going? Okay, Brock Bowers or Kittle? Let me look that one up. The Falcons are actually tough against tight ends, believe it or not. You wouldn't necessarily think so, but Falcons are number 1 against tight end. They give up 3.2 points. But as we know with Lad, the rankings don't mean everything. And I'm not trying to be mean about that, Dre's. I'm just saying they don't mean everything. So Kittle against Detroit. Bowers against, why did I say the Falcons? Bowers against New Orleans. I don't know. I was thinking the Falcons. Saints and Lions against tight ends. Saints and Lions. Saints are 5th. The Lions are 22nd. So Kittle has a much better matchup. How's good old George been doing? 10, 6, 15.7. I don't think he's, 0.7 is kind of worrisome. Bowers, 9, 3, 5, 20. Oh, man. I would almost go Kittle. See, Dre's, every time I give you a suggestion now, I get nervous. I would only go Kittle. Okay, last 4 weeks, Bowers has 20, 5.2, 3.5, 9.9. Okay, that's Brock Bowers. Kittle, 10, 6, 15, well, 0.7 stinks. But Detroit is much worse against tight ends. I would probably go Kittle. Let me just think about this. Kittle. Hold on. I'm not 9, 3.5, 5.2, 20. I mean, Brock Bowers does have good upside because he can score 20, and he did 4 weeks ago against Kansas City, but against Miami, Denver, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Jacksonville, New Orleans. God. Yeah, I would. Well, the experts are picking Brock Bowers. I'm saying George Kittle. Maybe you go with the experts and go with Brock Bowers. It's 76-24. They're 1 and 2 in tight end rankings, so you really can't go wrong. And Bowers had like 10 points, or Bowers had 9.9 and Kittle had 10 last week. So neither one of them are playing for anything. So yeah, maybe side with the experts and go with Bowers on this one. All right. I sat Connor last second. I'm so lucky. Yes, you are so lucky because he is out of the game. I was telling everyone, oh, you could go with Connor. Do you think T. Higgins stays in Cincinnati? No, I don't think there's a chance. I mean, I just don't think they're going to spend that kind of money. Bowers or Thielen? I would go Thielen because Tampa Bay is not great against wide receivers, and they're 17. They give up 22. I think Thielen's going to get 10 or 12 points or more this time around. So I would go Thielen. I don't always like putting tight ends in like a flex position because tight ends to me usually get like under 10 points. Chandler Spears or Tracy or Ford just need one. Kylan, I would go with Spears. Achane doesn't look as good without Tua, so there's that. Let me just do something real quick. What am I doing? Come on. I don't understand ESPN schedule. And I think Kyron's going to have a good game. I think Connor isn't. He's out of the game. I mean, he's done for the most part, is what it sounded like. I have the volume down, so I can't hear anything. Bowers or Thielen? I'm going Thielen. Achane or Spears or Tracy or Ford? I would go Spears. It's a good matchup for Spears. If you're in doubt of that, maybe you go with Achane, but he didn't put up a lot of points earlier in the year against or for Miami. Ford has a tough matchup. There's no Njoku. They could put 8 people in the box and everybody could kind of be screwed. So, passing, and Tracy might not go, or Ford might not go so long. I mean, you could put Tracy in there in hopes that, what in the wide world? Yeah, Indianapolis against the run. Where are we at? Indianapolis against the run is 14th. They give up 17.2 points. So Tracy could have a decent day. I would probably go Spears and then Tracy and then possibly Achane. I said kind of last night. Yeah, you are lucky. Ford, Thielen, or Jamo. I'd go Thielen at flex. Spears or Jennings. I would go Spears. He's put up good points recently. Jennings is kind of hit or miss. Oh, the chat's going crazy because I'm going too slow for the chat. Don't forget, everybody, to hit that follow button, hit that like button if you're watching. Oh, wrong mouse. I have two computers going like always. All right, start 3. Aaron Jones, Spears, Ford. Okay, well, you're only giving me 3 names, so start all 3 of them. If you mean start 2, I would go Aaron Jones and Spears. But you're saying start 3, L. Fullman. I'm not trying to be mean at all. I'm just saying you're saying start 3 and you gave me 3 names. I'm assuming you mean start 2. And if that is the case, I would go Aaron Jones and Spears. Let's see here. What else we got? I've already asked you this, but I'm really stuck on who to play, Hall or London. Well, Hall probably gets you 8 to 12. No, God bless America. I'm getting it wrong. London probably gets you 8 to 12. Hall gets you 17 to or 7 to 17 or 6 to 17. He's been getting he has a really good matchup, but he hasn't been putting up points. He's a real risky play. I would probably go with London just because he's not as risky, and he probably gets you 8 to 12. And Hall could get you 6 or Hall could get you 17, but he hasn't really been doing anything that isn't a single digit over the last. Well, let me double check that. I was going to say he doesn't really give you anything over that, but he has 11, 12, 0. Well, he didn't play 6, 27, 10, 9. I mean, he's just all over the place. I guess. Let me just see here. If Buffalo blows them out, it's not going to be a lot of Breece Hall. There's going to be a lot of passing with Rodgers. That's my other fear. Against Jacksonville, against the Rams, he got 12 and he got 11.5. He could theoretically, I think Breece Hall has a potentially higher ceiling. He's had as much as 27 points in week 11, but he just, he had 9, 9, 10, 27, 6, 12, 11. Again, I think Breece Hall might even get you 11, 12 points. But he got 6 week 13. So that's why I'm saying London gets you 8 to 12 or more. He gets you 6 to 12 or possibly more. Breece Hall. He has a favorable matchup actually against Buffalo. So maybe 6 to 20, let's say. But you got to be able to take that risk to play him. Otherwise, I would play London and get your 8 to 12 points and call it a day. But if you need points because you're getting blown out or you're losing by a lot, I would play Breece Hall. Baker or Goff? Okay. That's a very good question. I'd go Baker because it's against Carolina. It's a little bit favorable matchup. The 49ers against quarterbacks and the Panthers. 49ers are 5th. The Panthers are 24th. So I'd go Baker Mayfield. Is it okay to keep Garrett Wilson? Is it okay to keep Garrett Wilson? Sure. Thielen, Drake, Jonnu, or Spears? Drake London's 8 to 12. Thielen might be somewhere in there. Jonnu might not put up much. I think Spears has the best chance. I think Drake gives you a steady 8 to 12. I think Thielen bounces around those numbers a little bit lower, a little bit higher. I think Spears can go higher, but he also could go, 6 to 17. I know that he's had 20 points the last 2 weeks, which, look, he's done it 2 weeks. He hasn't done it 8. He hasn't done it 18, or he hasn't done it 15. So the shoe will drop. You can't keep scoring 20 points. John Paul, you will be next. So that's my fear with Spears is, when's that shoe going to drop? But I would look at it like Spears, Drake London, sort of your steady 8 to 12. Thielen's probably around there, but Drake is pretty steady. Jonnu, I wouldn't even consider. I was that way when Tua was hurt earlier. I'm like, Miami's offense is awful. Is it okay to keep Garrett Wilson? Sure. I mean, if he does really well this week, maybe it's good to keep him for next week. McLaurin or Jacobs in PPR league. Just concerned about Jacobs might not play whole game. Jacobs might not play the whole game. Let me check this out. Bum bum bum. Where are we at? I'm just trying to think of if they're in the what's going on here. Come on. Oh God. Standings. Playoff. Green Bay is guaranteed to go to the postseason. They're 11-4. Theoretically, they could. I mean, theoretically, I guess they could. Do they have the tiebreaker though? I don't know if they have the tiebreaker. Yeah, you're right. Jacobs may not play the whole game. Washington is going to play the whole game. They're not guaranteed a spot as of right now. Can't believe Los Angeles. Well, they still have some work to do. It's 10-6, 14-30 in the fourth, so it's a relatively close game. Yeah, I'd go McLaurin probably. You're probably right about Jacobs. He might not play the whole game because they don't really have. I mean, they would have to have the tiebreak against the Vikings and the Lions. Maybe they have it against the Lions. I don't know. Wins tiebreak over Minnesota based on winning percentage. Wins tiebreak over Tampa Bay. Yeah. McLaurin or Jacobs? Okay, got that. Drake London. Got a lot of Drake London questions. I'd go Drake London because Debo and Jennings don't necessarily. Well, seems like when one has a good week, the other one doesn't. Drake London gives you 8 to 12 points. I would say Jennings would be a riskier pick. He can give you, more than 12 points. Debo, I really think Jennings is kind of the number one there. So I would say Drake London as your steady pick. Jennings is a riskier pick that if you have to, you can pick Jennings, if you want more than 12 points. Okay, John Paul, Colts defense or Eagles defense? See, I would go with the Colts because the Giants as an offense just are not very good. John Paul. And I know you sent that Rose a while. I apologize. I'm all over the map right now. So I do apologize. I should have read that earlier. That is my mistake. I would go Colts defense over the Eagles defense. Now, part of it is, they don't have CD, but they have Rico. Cooper Rush showed me that he can throw the ball fairly well. I mean, Philadelphia against quarterbacks for some reason is 27th. They give up 24.4 points over the last 4 weeks on average to quarterbacks, which is just crazy to me. The Colts are 18th. They give up 21 against running backs. The Eagles are second. The Colts are 14th. The Colts give up 17.2. The Eagles give up 10.1. Against wide receivers, the Eagles are 16th. They give up 21.7. Where are the Colts? And the Colts are fourth. So over the last 4 weeks, at least on average, the Eagles and Colts are not that different. What makes it a little bit different is the fact that the Colts play a Giants team that doesn't have a really great offense. But I know the Cowboys don't have CeeDee Lamb, so you might say, "Oh, they don't have CeeDee Lamb." I think they'll be able to pass. They have a competent Rico Dowdle. I just don't know that Drew Lock is a great quarterback. Now the Colts will be playing Flacco, and will Flacco the last game I saw Flacco in, he was horrible. Um, so like that game might be close. That's all I'm thinking. Like it might be a 6-3 game or a 10-6 game. So there might not be many points to be had to begin with. Um, I'd still go with the Colts because they're playing the Giants and the Giants are just horrible. But the Eagles, I think, have the best defense overall. Now, maybe not over the last 4 weeks per se against the Colts, like compared to the Colts rather, but oh, it's 10-9 now, 13:53 in the fourth. 10-9, a 1-point game. So I have Herbert, Higgins, McConkey, and Trey McBride in my championship week. Well, you're doing pretty good then. You got 60 points between Higgins and McConkey. Herbert had what, 30 something, 30, I think, something like that, or 26. And Trey McBride, I don't even know what he's at, but I know he scored a touchdown. Or did he score more than one? No, he only had to score one. So he had one touchdown. So yeah, you're Alex, you are killing it, buddy. Spears or Cook to replace Achane. Well, let's look at Cook real quick. He goes the Jets against running backs. Number 10, they give up 15.8. I would probably go with Cook. However, I guess in the back of my head, I have that fear that maybe in the second half, all the starters aren't in, or in the fourth quarter, all the starters aren't in. So that's why I'm thinking maybe Spears, but Cook should do well. I do worry, and you'll have to read some stuff about Buffalo and all that because, if they take Josh Allen out, aren't they probably going to take out the number one running back? Aren't they probably going to take out maybe a wide receiver or two? I mean, I would think that they take Josh Allen out and they take James Cook out, but I don't have any information that tells me that they're going to be taken out tomorrow. So in most cases, I would say Cook, but because of that, I almost want to say Spears because he's going to have to go the whole game pretty much. Football content, genuine question because I have a channel. Why would I not start him? Because earlier in the year he was so bad when Tua wasn't the quarterback. We are live, sideline fans, moderators here. Josh Jacobs, McLaurin, Spears, bench one. Josh Jacobs, McLaurin, Spears, McLaurin. See, the thing with Josh Jacobs, as someone brought up, is is Green Bay gonna, like, since they don't have really much to play for, they've already got their people. Is he going to play the whole game? So that's why I'm leaning towards Spears and McLaurin. That's it. Like I worried that Josh Jacobs might just play a half or 3/4 or something like that. But they're playing Minnesota, and Minnesota has something to play for. So you got to figure Jacobs. See, I would go McLaurin and Josh Jacobs. That's who I would go with. You know what to expect from them. Spears has been doing well, but you got to figure that shoe is going to eventually drop one of these weeks. All right. He's had 20 points and 20 points. So when does that shoe drop? I don't know. I would normally go Josh Jacobs. You got to figure that Green Bay is probably not going to roll over because then Detroit would be mad at them, because they would be like, oh, you gave up. Oh, you didn't play your starters. And it's interdivisional. They don't want to make Detroit mad. So you got to figure Josh Jacobs would play. So I'd go McLaurin and Josh Jacobs. Hawkinson, Ferguson, Ertz, Chig, or keep Jonnu as starter. I would start Chig. There's no way that football content you have 5 tight ends, though. You're talking about your waiver wire. When you guys do that, you got to narrow things down. Like, I know I sound grumpy. I don't mean to be grumpy, but come on, you got to narrow it down. You can't throw everything at the wall and ask me what to do. You got to like say, okay, I'm going to throw these 3 guys at the wall, not these 5 guys at the wall. It's a big difference. You got to show me that you understand the difference between some of these players. Amon-Ra or BTJ? Well, Detroit has to win. I would think Amon-Ra, right? I mean, they have to win. San Francisco is a tough matchup against wide receivers. There's no doubt about that. They're third. BTJ has, I never can remember all these. 10, Tennessee. Let me just look them up. Tennessee 49. The Titans are ninth. They give up 20.3. The 49ers give up 15. Wow. 20.3. It's a 5-point difference. Okay. Eldair. I would go Okonkwo because I don't think Jonnu's going to put up a lot of points. I think Okonkwo has a good matchup. Kincaid's matchup is pretty good, though, against the Jets. But again, like I said, the only thing about that game is I do think Buffalo might pull people because they have everything to lose and nothing to gain by that game. Goff or Purdy? I would go Goff. Connor was a disappointment this week, especially championship time. Yes, Connor was. Kittle or Bowers? The experts pick Bowers. I would pick Bowers. But if you went with Kittle, I wouldn't be mad at you. I think Bowers' matchup might be a little bit better. Play Josh Downs over Adams because, well, first of all, is Adams playing for sure? I wouldn't take Adams out of a game right now. If he can play, and is he playing or is he still questionable? Yeah, he's still questionable. He's questionable for a week. So you might not have a choice, but I wouldn't take it. I mean, come on. Adams 16, 38, 21, 15, 10, 6, 18. He's putting up monster numbers, and against Buffalo, he should be able to. They want to win this game. They look bad, the Jets. Even if Buffalo takes people out, I don't think the Jets are going to roll over. They're going to want to win this game. Jonnu, Kincaid, or Okonkwo, I'd go Okonkwo. I know I already said this. Jonnu, I don't think has much value with Tua, not as the quarterback. I could be wrong about that, but I see Jonnu as a risk because Tua's not quarterbacking. Kincaid could be your safe bet if you like. He has a good matchup against the Jets, but again, as I said, there could be time tomorrow where because they can lose the game and it won't matter. They can lose the next 2 games and it won't matter for Buffalo. They're going to win the division. So they might take it easy on Kincaid or he might not play as many games. Hey, Moreno 661. Let's see what you got here. Wrong mouse. Loreno. Where's Loreno? I got to make this bigger, huh? See, Nathaniel, the Arrowhead background. Okay. Where's Moreno? Who should I start, Isaac or Rico? I would start Isaac Guerendo. He's a much better matchup. Rico, actually, Philadelphia's defense against the run is still pretty good. It's number 2. They give up 10.1. And the Lions, believe it or not, are 23rd. They give up 21.3. So Guerendo has a much better matchup. John is 10-21. Waddle, Pittman, Wilson, Neighbors, pick 2. I wouldn't go Waddle because Tua is not the quarterback. Pittman, Wilson, Neighbors. Pittman. Oh, it's 2 T's, right? Pittman, Wilson, And believe it or not, Wilson has a good matchup. Is Downs Flacco's guy or is Pittman? That's my only concern. I think Downs is Flacco's guy. So I would go Malik and Garrett Wilson. They have decent matchups. And I don't know if Pittman is Flacco's guy. I think it's Downs. So for that reason, I'd go Neighbors and Wilson. Although the offense with the Giants is very suspect, to say the least. Let's see. Start Hall or Spears. Okay. Hey, Rich, how are you? Hey, half PPR, Garendo or Spears? Oh, that's a good question. Let me just do the one question I read right before I saw you. Hall or Spears? Okay. Hall doesn't put up a lot of points lately, but he's probably good for like 7 to 16 points, possibly. And Spears has been getting 20 points, but I can't imagine that he keeps that up. And I think he's probably about 7 to 16, 7 to 17. So within that same range. So let's see here. You know, he's at Spears is at 24-20, and he plays Jacksonville. And I would just say it's a favorable matchup for Spears. So based on that, I'd go with Spears. Now I got to go with Paul or Rich rather. Why did I write Paul down? Rich, Jonathan Taylor, Pittman for flex. Well, somebody said earlier tonight that Jonathan Taylor didn't do so well when Flacco was the quarterback. And I think Downs is the receiver that Flacco throws to. So neither one looks great, but I would probably go Jonathan Taylor. Okay, Downs over Debo. Well, I think Downs is Flacco's guy. I'm not. IJS needed 2 copies. Send it. Just needed to. You deserve it all. What? We are all hit 13,000 followers. Oh, okay. We're about ready to hit 13,000. Kind of. MB bro. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on. Hey, half PPR, Garendo or Spears? That's what I wanted to look up. That's what I was looking up. All right. Garendo or Spears? Let's look at the data. Jacksonville against the run, the Jags and the Lions against the run. The Lions are 23rd, Jacksonville is 19. Okay. So Garendo has a little bit more favorable matchup. However, if you look at Garendo, he had 7.5, 24, and 7.6. And then in like week 8, he had 16. Okay. So my point of bringing this up is Tajay Spears has had 20 or over the last 2 weeks, and he has a favorable matchup. Garendo goes up against Detroit. Detroit's a little worse against the run. I would actually look. Both of these guys are a risk. Okay, like it's not like we're talking about Derrick Henry or Isaac Garendo or Saquon Barkley or Tajay Spears. No, we're talking about Tajay Spears and Isaac Garendo, who have only had like 2 good games all season. Between both of them have had two good games each this season. So because they're playing Jacksonville, Jacksonville seems to right a lot of ships, if you will. So I would go Tajay Spears based on that. I know Detroit's defense isn't where it was because of injury, but they still oftentimes, get the job done, put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, things like that. So I would go with Jacksonville. Achane, Breece, or Garendo. Garendo has a good matchup. Breece has a good matchup. Garendo, 2 weeks ago had a really good game. Breece doesn't put up a ton of points. I wouldn't go with Achane only because Earlier in the season, he didn't put up good points when Tua wasn't the quarterback. So, based on the matchup, I'm looking at Brees and I'm looking at Garendo. Now, I know what the experts are probably going to say. They're going to tell me that it's, Brees. They like the guys that have been around for a while, which I get. They're picking Brees 97-3. But the thing about Brees Hall is he hasn't been scoring points. Let me just see this. Yeah. That's why numbers are off. 11, 12, 6, 27, 10, 9.5. So in the last 4 games, he didn't play one, but in the last 4 games, he's had 11.5, 12.1, 6, 27.6. So what's his range? 6 to 27? Probably that is his range. And Isaac Garendo has had 9.5, 25, 8.1, and then he hasn't really had too many touches. I think he was in a game and didn't get any points, but he had 17.7 against Dallas in week 8. So he can put up some points. I mean, Brees has gone 11 and 12 the last 2 weeks. I just think that Garendo, maybe Brees is your stay at home steady pick. He gets you 11, 12 points somewhere in there. And Garendo is your higher ceiling with a little bit of risk because he might get you 9, he might get you 25. Where Brees over the last 2 weeks has gotten 11 and 12. So maybe he's your steady 11 to 12 pick. And Garendo is your, like I said, 9 to 25 pick. All right. Dre's, what's up? Tracy or Jennings? 1 PPR. Man, Jennings has been inconsistent. Not that Tracy hasn't been. Jennings. Let me just see. Tracy had 14-4, 16-13. I mean, seriously. Jennings 7-4, 20. Yeah, Jennings is just too inconsistent. I'd go Tyrone Tracy. How do you feel about Jayden Reed this week? Well, my thoughts on Jayden Reed haven't changed from any week to any week. There's too many wide receivers in Green Bay. There's too many. He throws the 4 wide receivers and the tight end. Now, tight end points are considered different, but it's a pass, okay? I just think Jayden Reed probably gets single digits unless you get lucky and win the lottery this week and he gets like 15. But they're never going to get a ton because he throws to so many people. That's how I feel about Reed or Jayden Reed. Yeah, I mean, I think he's fine. I just think he's never going to have a ton of points. Would you go Jerome Ford or Tajay Spears? I would go Tajay Spears. Spears over White, probably because White probably gets you, 10 to 12, and Spears could go higher than that, 15, 16, 17 in there. White has to split some of the carries. It's 13-9 now, 6:29 in the fourth. They only have a 4-point lead over Arizona. Yeah, I'd go Spears over White. Which one would you pick for flex? Ask Marcelo. Aaron Jones or McMillan? I'd go Aaron Jones. He has a pretty good matchup. I looked him up earlier today when I was on. I'd go Aaron Jones. McMillan's, it's not bad to have McMillan. I mean, he has a decent matchup, but he has to split some of those catches with Evans. Myers or McMillan? I'd go McMillan. Yeah, I bummed about Connor. Yeah. Well, injuries you can't really do much with. But he was kind of injured. Maybe they rushed him to all of this. I don't know. I don't love when they do some of this stuff. Hey, Aton's here. Hey, Aton, how are you? What's up, my man? Don't forget to hit that like button. We're at 2,000 likes. Can we get to 2,500? Also, only one person has followed since I started this about 40 minutes ago. Hit that follow button if you're on TikTok. Hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And just as a reminder, not that anybody's really going to count down the days, but if you look at my channels, my videos, whatever you want to call it, I used to do a lot of these sports stories on athletes and things like that, or famous athletes. And I've been doing almost all fantasy. Well, the Sideline Fans is going to be predominantly fantasy. And over the next couple weeks, I'm going to introduce new channels that go back to this. And I'm going to market it as Sideline Fans Legends. So it's going to talk about, Larry Bird. It'll talk about Michael Jordan. It'll talk about Ken Griffey Jr. It'll talk about Tom Brady, all this kind of stuff. And it'll be shorts. It'll be maybe a 3-minute video, but those will be posted there. Because what's happening is I think the algorithm doesn't know what to do with some of my videos anymore. So I'm trying to fix that. Yeah, Connor is just killing it. Myers or McMillan? I said McMillan. I already did that one. I legit cannot believe I'm asking this, but Spears or Aaron Rodgers super flex? Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers against Buffalo against quarterbacks gives up 24.8 points to quarterbacks. They don't have a very good defense in Buffalo. Say what you will about them, but they don't have a very good defense. If Kansas City's healthy and has all their aces, all their tools, they might beat them in the playoffs, unlike the regular season. I suspect Aaron Rodgers to have a decent game, maybe not 24.8, but maybe he gets 20 points. Spears has had 20 points the last couple of weeks. I don't know that that's a sustainable thing in the NFL. He might get 20 points again, but my fear is eventually that shoe sort of drops, or you go down to the norm, whatever that might be, and maybe he gets 15 points, 14 points. So the only thing though is, what has Aaron Rodgers been putting up numbers wise? Has he been that low? I know he had one good, he had 12, 30, 17, 15, 16, 4. Oh my God. Jacksonville, he had 30. That's when everybody got mad at me because people were asking me, oh, should I start this guy or Aaron Rodgers? And I said that guy, and someone got all mad at me. It's the one game he had 30 points all season. One game. I mean, I would almost always side with a quarterback, but the 12.8. See, if he was 15, 17, 30, 17, I would say Aaron Rodgers easy, but the 12.84 against the Rams against quarterbacks are 26th. So I don't know why he did not put up more points. Oh my God. I would almost say Spears, but I would go with Rodgers because he's the quarterback and they almost always put up more points. And you got to figure Spears can't sustain 20 points every week. I know I hate saying all this. He has a great matchup, though. There's no doubt about that. And if you wanted to go with Spears, I could see why you would totally do that. I mean, Spears has had 20 points and 24 points the last 2 weeks. Against Jacksonville against the run, they're 18.3. So technically speaking, on paper, Buffalo gives up 24 to quarterbacks. Jacksonville gives up 18 to running backs. So Rodgers has the better matchup. So I'm leaning towards Roger on that one. All right. I can start both McMillan and Myers. I have Spears at flex, but I'm thinking about moving out Achane. I don't know that Myers is better than Achane points wise. Myers has not been putting up points lately. That's the thing. Let me just look up Myers real quick. I mean, Myers is single digits. There for a while, he was relatively consistent. He had, 14, 14, 6.8, 17, 12.7, 10, 8, 5. He had 5 against Jacksonville. So what makes me think that against New Orleans against the pass compared to Jacksonville? New Orleans is 20th. Jacksonville is 8th. So Jacksonville's a little bit tougher. They give up 19.2. The Saints give up 23.2. So it's a 4-point difference. but he had 8 points against Atlanta, and Atlanta against the pass is 21st. He had low points against teams that weren't that great. I guess what I'm saying is I think Jakobi Meyers and the Raiders offense, their time has kind of come and gone. So I would maybe consider putting Achane in because you figure Achane's going to get at least 8 points. He's not going to be like shut out. He runs the ball. He's going to get 5 yards, 10 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 1 yards, 3 yards. Maybe he scores a touchdown. The thing about Jakobi Meyers is since week 3, he's only had 2 touchdowns. Since Tua is out. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Achane or Neighbors, PPR. Tua injury might make me switch. I would probably go Neighbors in that regard. Indy, well, except, oh boy. Yeah, the Colts are pretty tough against the pass, but Neighbors does get the bulk of those passes. Yeah, I mean, I got to think that Neighbors gets, I don't know. I would probably go Achane, even with Tua. I mean, Achane's numbers were really low when Tua was out earlier in the season. Let's just see. What has Neighbors been doing? This is going to probably tell me what to do. Neighbors, well, Neighbors is questionable. So he might not even, but oh, he's expected to play. Never mind. He had 10, 19, 12. Yeah, I'd go Neighbors because he's been putting up double digits for the last 4 weeks. Not always high, 11, 12.4, 19. That's great. 10. I want I want the player to get to 13 every week. So Mooney or Blackshear. Blackshear, we just don't have enough on. We just don't have. Last week he had 1.3 points. So I'm going Mooney because Blackshear. I mean, unless you want to roll the dice, unless you're down by 40 points and you're like, I need points, and you take the risk and start Blackshear and hope that he can get you 25 or something ridiculously huge. But I would go with Mooney. I mean, I would probably go with Mooney. I don't think Blackshear has shown enough that he's going to get double digits. What are your favorite sports team in all of any sport? I guess the St. Louis University Billikens are my favorite sports team because that's where I went to college. They stink this year like they did last year. They got a new coach, but from Indiana State. They should have got the guy from Northwest Missouri State or whatever. He had a Division II program, and he's leading Drake now. Anyway, whole nother thing for another day. Flex option for the ship. I have Blackshear, Mooney, or Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus available. Blackshear, I don't know enough about. Let me look up Zacchaeus. That's how you pronounce it, right? He had 21 points. Philadelphia against the pass versus Atlanta. Philadelphia 16. The Falcons are 21st. Well, maybe you go with Zacchaeus. Go with Zacchaeus on that one because Mooney's just splits all of his catches. Boy, I've gotten a lot of Mooney questions today. I mean, just filled up with Mooney, which I'm not complaining about. I'm just saying, like, holy cow. He had 10 points, 17. He had 0 2 weeks ago. He did play 17, 3.5. He's just all over the place, though. And that was with Penix. He had 10. So, and they play Washington, which is a better overall club. Start 3: McMillan, Myers, Spears, Achane. McMillan and Spears, I would start. I would probably start Achane over Myers. Myers just hasn't been putting up a lot of points. And Achane, even if he gets 8 to 10, I think it might be more than what Myers puts up. Should I play Oquan? Okonkwo or Ridley? I would go with Okonkwo. He's been playing really well. He's been somewhat consistent. He's a tight end. He's a safety net for the quarterback. I would go Okonkwo. Flex option for the ship. I have Blackshear, Mooney. Oh, I already answered that one. I would go Zacchaeus. In the championship, and I have Burrow and Higgins. You are the man. Ant1G3 Gen TV. Anti-Gen TV. Is that what it is? I don't know what that means. It's probably something I shouldn't say out loud, huh? Did you know that 80 million have scrolled by your lives? What? 80 million? That's crazy. Start 3, McMillian Myers. Oh, I already answered that one. Where are we at? Let me go. All right. Any new questions over here? Don't forget, we're at 3,600 likes. Can we get the 4,000? Also, don't forget to follow me. I will be live tomorrow morning if you have more questions. Dylan's back. At least the Connor versus Spears questions are going. Well, yeah, that's good. But I know how to answer those. That's the thing. Johnny Smith or Brock Bowers? I'd go Brock Bowers because Tua's not starting, so I think it's tough. Is this baseball or football? Huh? You mean scores or something? Should I put? Yeah, that one. I grew up loving baseball. I mean, I like football, don't get me wrong, but I grew up like playing a lot more baseball, loving baseball, practicing baseball, watching baseball, sorting, like collecting baseball cards. Achane or Thielen? I'd probably go Thielen because I think Thielen gets to double digits. Achane, there's a slight chance he might not. Zacchaeus, Blackshear, Okonkwo. I'd go Okonkwo. Blackshear, I can't endorse. I don't have any information. I mean, I have very limited information about Blackshear, so I can't endorse him. Um, Zacchaeus isn't bad. He had one good week. Okonkwo's been putting things together. Colts or Dolphins defense? Everybody's asking me this. How does everybody have like this? Everybody's pretty smart. Look, at this point, I kind of like Miami over the Colts because they don't have Njoku, and DTR passed a lot to Njoku. What did Njoku get? Like 14 points last week? He doesn't have Njoku as that safety net. So at this point, I like the Dolphins playing Cleveland better than the Colts playing the Giants. Pick one for flex: Shakir, Jameis Williams, or Thielen. I'd probably go Thielen because he's the number one. Jameis Williams is a little inconsistent. Thielen is not as inconsistent, and Shakir is a little inconsistent too. So, and as we've talked about, what happens if Josh Allen is taken out, because they want to rest him, like in the third quarter or something, or the fourth quarter? Shakir's numbers are going to go down, or potentially go down. Johnny Smith or Brock Bowers? Brock Bowers. I answered that one, right? Okonkwo, Juno, or Kincaid? I'd go Okonkwo. But if you wanted to go with Kincaid, you could. But again, I worry that Buffalo might take people out of the game, some of their starters. Allen or Goff this week? Okay, Steve, the thing about that is if Josh Allen is taken out, Goff has something to play for. Allen doesn't. Allen is in the playoffs. They are the number 2 seed. No question. They're 12-3. They're ahead of Baltimore 11. They're 11-5. All right. Do they have the tiebreak? It doesn't say. So Buffalo, it's 11-5 is 16. They play one more game. Oh, yeah. Never mind. They're 11-5. They've played 16 games. Buffalo's played 15. They could go 12-5. They could go 12-5. Okay. But do they have the tiebreak? What does the Z mean? Hold on. I got to look at this. Clinched division. So they clinched division, clinched wild card, eliminate from playoffs, clinched division and bye. Isn't it actually clinching the conference? Whatever. Yeah. I just don't know that Buffalo has anything to play for because at worst they'll have a tie record to Baltimore. I don't know who has the tie break on that, but that would be the only difference. If Baltimore wins again, they'll be 12-5. If the Bills lose the next two games, they'll be 12-5. And that's it. So it kind of depends. I mean, 12-5, 12-5. I just don't know about the tie break in case they play each other. That's the only thing I'm kind of thinking about. But I guess anyway, I don't know, but I think Buffalo believes that it has everything under control. Spears, Thielen, or Garendo in flex. I would probably go Spears. I would go Spears. Thielen, maybe 8 to 12 points. Garendo has had, you know, Spears has had two back-to-back good games. He has a good matchup. Grendo has a decent matchup, but he really, he had 25 points and he had nines in front and behind that. Spears has put two good weeks together. Now, the shoe may drop. I think they're all a little risky. I think Thielen might be the steadiest, but I think Garendo and Spears, we don't know. They've only done it a few weeks, where they've been the starter, where they've had good weeks. So there's still a little risk with them. With Thielen, he probably gets you 8 to 12 easy. So if you want to go with steady, go Thielen. If you want to maybe roll the dice, I would probably go Spears over Garendo right now. Josh Allen or Goff. Again, or maybe this is what I was getting at. I would go with Goff because he has something to play for. The Jets, if they're beating the Jets soundly, I think they're going to take starters out, and they could be beating the Jets soundly because Aaron Rodgers had, in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks has had one good game. And that was 2 weeks ago against Jacksonville. But again, don't be surprised if this is a closer game because Buffalo's defense isn't as good as you think it is. All right. They are not rated really well in a lot of categories. For instance, where are we at here? Well, wide receivers, they're dead last. Running backs, 26. This is out of 32. Quarterbacks, they're 28. They're 28, 26, and 32 against quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. They're not very good. Not a strong defense. Downs are Myers and Flex. Okay, Ethan, do we know that Downs is Flacco's favorite guy? Is that who it is? Does Flacco throw to Downs? Because if that's the case, he's the one. I would start Downs over Myers because Flacco's starting. Should we be starting Lamar? Yeah, I mean Lamar has. Well, let's just look it up real quick. It is 13-9 with 37 seconds, and it looks like the Rams might have picked off Kyler Murray. Is that it? I have not been watching this. 13-9, or maybe they scored. I don't have the sound on, guys, so. In the end zone, off helmet, and the Rams catch it. Let's see. Ooh, I don't know if that's going to be a catch, dude. It looks like one side of that did hit the ground. Should we be starting Lamar? Let's just see. Baltimore. What does the X mean? Clinch playoff berth. Baltimore 11-5, Pittsburgh's 10-6. They haven't clinched their division. My guess is Baltimore does have something to play for, and so I would start Lamar, or Lamar's probably going to play. Commander or Green Bay defense? Well, you got to figure Minnesota. I don't think he caught that ball, but because the end of the football, you got to figure Minnesota's going to score some points. Maybe not a ton, but they're going to score. Washington, yeah, I don't know that Atlanta's going to score as much. I would go Washington on that. Is Davante Adams playing? Well, maybe you will be good enough to play for the Billikens. Davante Adams. Let's see. Devontae Adams is questionable for week. Adams was held out of Thursday's practice. Oh, this is only from Friday. He should be able to suit up this week as Aaron Rodgers chases. Was held out of Thursday's practice before being upgraded to a limited session on Friday. It seems like Devontae Adams probably will play. Sean McVay really going to Dallas? Well, I mean, there's so many rumors. Is his contract up? I don't know if his contract's up. If his contract's up, he could be going to Dallas because that seems like a Jerry Jones kind of person. He's not a media, he's not a huge media guy like Primetime is. So he might be a good one for Jerry Jones. And he's young and he's smart and, he's already won a Super Bowl. Jerry Jones likes all that. I mean, that's what he did with his current manager or current head coach. Not that he was young at the time, but what are they saying? All right. 13-9. 13-9. 37 seconds left. Amanda, do you think Neighbors will play? Ooh, do I think Neighbors will play? Oh boy. What did they say? Since I had the sound down, they can't have said he caught that. I mean, he trapped it, if anything, right? Let's see. I'm looking at the footage. Yeah, I don't know that he caught that. Malik Neighbors is questionable. Who's listed as questionable for Sunday's game? He's expected to play. So yes, it looks like he will play. They called it an INT Rams win. Seriously? Wow. Okay. I mean, I can kind of see that, but to me, since the point came down, that would be easy to kind of trap that. Wow. They called that an interception. Wow. They overturned it. Originally, what? Hold on a second. You guys are confusing me now. No, I was strong. Strong. Jack Reimer, Garendo Myers, Shakir. Go with Garendo. He has a good matchup. Myers has not been putting up points. Shakir has not been very consistent. So the Rams have the ball. Yeah, the Rams have the ball. So it was an interception or something. I don't know. Hey man, would you start Spears or Adams in the flex tomorrow? I'd start Adams, dude. Like he's been putting up massive points. Spears might get, I mean, if you want to maybe take a risk, but even Adams has been putting up massive points. And remember, the Bills are not very good defense, especially against wide receivers. Are they last? Yeah, they're last place. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to get all 30. Like the Bills average 30 points. That doesn't mean he's going to get all 30 points, but he might get 18. All right. Burrow for the MVP. Well, they got to make the playoffs first. The problem of it is they're probably not going to end up making it. You're no problem, Jack. No problem, Yardy. Anytime, guys. Let's see. Don't forget to hit that. We're at 4,200. Can we get to 4,500 likes? Don't forget to hit follow. I go live every single day. Oh, there. Look at that. Man, you got to be mad, though. Your quarterback throws an interception late in the game like this, and it's over, Offensive player of the year. Maybe offensive player of the year. But don't they usually give it to somebody who might have a better record or made the playoffs or something like that? Well, first of all, he's got to go. He's got to be. What will they be? Are they 9-7 right now? No, they're 8-8, right? I think they're 8-8. I mean, his numbers are good enough. I just don't think their record and the fact that like the first 3 or 4 weeks he wasn't doing so well. If he can just start a little bit earlier than he does, he probably would be the MVP, and the team would easily be in the playoffs. I'm so sorry to confuse. I wasn't paying much attention and heard wrong. Rams did win. Yes. What a game, huh? London or McMillan? I'd go McMillan. He's been putting up good points. It's a pretty good matchup for them against Carolina. Please let me join. I just have some questions for my flex. All right, you guys want to have Jay join? Dylan, Kyler threw the ball right at McBride's helmet. Yeah, that was horrible. All right, let's see. Jay's infirm. All right, here we go. Jay's. You there, Jay? Jason? Yeah, hello. What's up? Okay. Yes. Yes, he's out. Okay, so you have Tajay Spears, right? Okay. So Spears is probably, I mean, he's been putting up 20, 24 points the last 2 weeks. So you have Spears. I like him. And then you have Thielen. And who was the other person? Brees Hall. Okay. So Brees Hall has a favorable matchup as well. Spears has a favorable, actually, all three of them have pretty nice matchups. Um, Thielen, I think, probably just gets you 10 to 12 points. Brees Hall, the thing with him is he probably gets you in that range too. He hasn't been scoring a lot of points. The one thing about Spears is that he's had these two really good games back to back. And my worry is, does the shoe drop, and he gets like 11 this time around, but he is the starting running back, and he was doing that when Pollard was still running the ball as much. So I think Spears will have a really nice day. I think Thielen, depending upon what type of defense, and the defense with Tampa Bay has gotten better. So they're going to put a lot of pressure on Bryce Young. And my thought is, Thielen only gets about 10 to 12 points, and Brees Hall only gets 10 to 12 points. I think Spears, if you want to take a little bit of a risk and say, okay, maybe his floor is 7 but he can get up to 17, 18 points. I would go with Spears because the other two probably get you around 10 points, give or take 2. And Spears probably at the end of the day gives you he's had 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. And there's nothing that tells me now he might not have 2 again, but he'll probably have at least 1, which almost certainly gives him 13, 14 points for the game. So that's why I would go with Spears. All right. Thank you. Take care, man. Good luck. You too. All right. Good job, Jay or Jason. Ford or a Chan. I'd probably go with Ford because the Chan put up some really weak numbers when Tua wasn't the quarterback. Chan, Thielen, or Ford. Might want to go with Thielen there, Corey. Ford probably gets 10-ish. Chan could be single digits. Thielen probably gets 10 or maybe a little bit higher, somewhere in there. And they have a decent matchup against Tampa Bay. Should I start Adams and Neighbors? They're both questionable. Yeah, Adams is going to play and Neighbors is going to play. So if you want to, you can. Now, Neighbors might not be my first choice, but Adams definitely I would play him. Abdullah or Madison? That's a great question. I kind of favor Abdullah. I'm going to look and see what the experts say. It's hard sometimes to pick between players who are on the same team, though. Let me just end this. I don't need to be watching all this. What happened here? Okay. They're picking Madison. Let's just see what Madison. I know he had 13, 1, 8. He's had a lot of single digits. And then you have Amir, who's had 17, 16.3, 6.3, 15. I'd probably still go with Amir. They also use him in the passing a lot more, so he's a little bit more flexible. And he's put up a touchdown in, well, in 6 weeks he's had 4 touchdowns. He's had 1 a week for 4 weeks. So I would and Madison has only had 1 touchdown in the last 6 weeks. So yeah, I would go with Abdullah. Abdullah or Garendo. I would probably go with Garendo. It's a little bit better matchup. And as you can hear, Abdullah has this whole Madison, who's going to get the points, who's going to be the lead. I think Amir is supposed to be the lead, but Madison's going to get his touches. So I would probably go with Garendo. It's a pretty good matchup. When will we know if Tua plays? 90 minutes before game time is when you know, but it really looks like he's not going to play. Like, I don't know that that's going to change because he's listed as doubtful, right? And doubtful is like, 75% chance that they don't play. I mean, they put doubtful on there because they're probably not going to play. Let's see, has been downgraded to doubtful for Sunday. Blah, 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 was listed as limited on Dolphins practice reports this week, had been listed as questionable, but the downgrade to doubtful Saturday is obviously concerning with regard to his Week 17 status. If Tua is inactive versus Cleveland, you'll know 90 minutes before game time. Well, maybe say 75 because it takes about 10 or 15 minutes for it to go from, for it to be on all the wires and be on fantasy and all that good stuff. I don't know. They're saying he really wants to play, but everyone else does. So, well, the fact that if he plays, that's good for Jonnu. Like if he plays, then you can play Jonnu, then you can play Tyreek. Then you don't have to worry about Achane, so it's fine. Caden Silzer, Achane, Dottle, or Spears. If Tua doesn't play, I would go Spears. If Tua plays, I would go Achane. It doesn't look like Tua's going to play. I'm not hoping for that. I'm just saying that doubtful is like a 75% chance that he doesn't play, maybe 80%. I just need Achane. I had T and I should have played T at flex, but I didn't know Tua was injured. Yeah, dude, it's tough. Like all the injury, I mean, a lot of these players get injured this time of year. The other thing about it too is you got to read the little notepad by everybody's name. You almost have to read that every day. You have to read that like in the morning and then 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Okay, C4 Cam. Jonnu or Garendo. If Tua doesn't play, well, I would go Garendo if Tua doesn't play. I'll just say that. If Tua plays, you might want to go with Jonnu because at least you're going to get around 10 or 11 points with Jonnu. Garendo did have a 25-point game in weeks. Well, many weeks before that, he had like a 16-point game. But the problem with Garendo is in the last 3 weeks, he's had 9, 25, and 9. So he might not have a huge game. Spears or Ford, I would go Spears. Start 2, Breece, London, Reed, or Spears. I would go Spears, and then I would go London with a solid 8 to 12, and then I would go Breece, or I would take the gamble with Breece. So I would go Spears in London if you want to kind of play it safe. If you want to take advantage of Breece's matchup, which is relatively favorable, but he'll have a lower floor and a higher ceiling than London. He'll probably be like 6 to 17. All right, where London's probably just 8 to 12 kind of. Spears is probably more like, well, I was saying earlier 6 or 7 to 17, but it might be more like 8 to 16. He is the lead back, and I know that in a lot of leagues he went up his his predicted number was like 15 or something. I don't really care about those that much, but I know that he's probably more like an 8 to 17 kind of guy. I don't think I can't predict that he gets 20. I just can't predict that. Spears or Ford? Okay, wait a minute. Dylan had. So I got Baker, Evans, Barkley, McLaurin against Achane, BTJ. You're down 80? Who's down 80? Can I pull it off? I'm at 38%. Baker, say Baker gets 26. Let's say Evans gets 20. Barkley, well, Philadelphia has to play for something, right? Barkley could put up 25, so you're looking at 50, 70. McLaurin could put up 15, so that gives you 9. Hey, Beto, thank you for the lightning bolts against Achane BTJ. Well, if Achane gets 2 points and BTJ gets 10, I still think the other side might squeak it out by like 5 or 10 points then. I mean, McLaurin is solid. He'll get you 15. It's tough for him to get 20. Barkley could get 20, 25, let's just say. Evans could get 20. Baker could get 25. I'm just kind of going middle there. And so that gives you 25, 25, 50, 20, 70, 15, 85. If he's up by 80, let's say Achane gets him 5, so that's 85, and BTJ gets 10, that's 95. So it's a good possibility that he beats you by about 5 to 10 points at least. Okay, C4 Cam, did I answer this? If Tua doesn't play, Garendo. If Tua plays, I'd go with Jonnu. Brees, London, I answered that one, right? Spears or Ford? Oh, I've answered these. Okay, let me go down. All right, don't forget to hit that follow button. I go live almost every single day. I'll be live. I will be live tomorrow morning, so definitely do that. Hit that like button. We're at 6,300 likes. Can we get it up to 65? Brees Hall or Spears? That's the question of the hour. I tend to think that Spears. Nathaniel, I can't talk about Squid Games now. I kind of go with Spears. Brees Hall has not been putting up points. The way I've been looking at it though is Brees Hall probably gets you like 10 points, give or take 2, and Spears probably gives you like 8 to 17 range. So it's a little bit of more of a risk. Brees Hall, not so much of a risk, but he doesn't really give you a great number. 10 is not a great number. It's average probably. So do you want like the average number that you can kind of bank on, or do you want to go with Spears where he could give you a little bit lower but a lot higher? So that's the decision you have to make. Jerome Ford or Thielen in the flex, I would go Thielen. Ford has a tougher matchup. There's no Njoku. It might be a long day for Cleveland and their offense. Brees Hall or Spears, did I just answer that? Yeah, I did. Okay. I should put that on repeat. Thanks. We both got kickers too. Might come down to that. Yeah, might come down to kickers. I mean, look at what one kicker, was it earlier today, had like 15 points or something. And I've had Fairbairn had 0, and Boswell or whatever from Pittsburgh had 4. So you might end up beating them with kickers. Maybe the guy gets 4, your guy gets 15, and you beat him by 1. I'm starting Spears over Achane because without Tua, Achane averaged like 6. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, Emmett. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. So that's why I'm telling people if Tua doesn't play, I would strongly consider not playing Achane unless you don't have a lot of other options. Like Blackshear, look, I don't know that Blackshear will even get 6 points. I know everybody's saying Blackshear. I get it. But look at everybody was saying Kendre Miller. Everybody was saying Patrick Taylor Jr. What, Kendre Miller got 4? I don't even know what Patrick Taylor got. What, 3 or something? Let's see. Did Beto have a? Yes, Beto. How many points can Achane and Barkley get realistically and Miami defense? Well, Miami's defense could theoretically get like 20 points. And the only reason why I'm saying that is I think whoever played the Giants last week got like 25. The reason why I'm saying that is there's no Njoku. DTR throws interceptions. He had at least one last week. I was at the game. I think he's been in 4 or 5 games and he's thrown 4 or 5 interceptions, or maybe he's been in 3 or 4 games and thrown 4 or 5 interceptions. So he throws a lot of interceptions. There's no Njoku, who I see as sort of the quarterback's best friend, kind of. So they could get 20. Now, Achane, realistically, without Tua, he could be low. He could get like 4. The guy said 6. I was looking at his numbers earlier tonight. He did have a couple 3s and 4s, I think, when Tua was out. I'm hoping, well, for your sake, that he gets 10, and Barkley up against Dallas, he could have 30 points, realistic. Like I don't like to predict 30 points, but he could have 30 points. I think Barkley's going to be pushing for 20, and then we'll see how that carries over. If he gets 2 touchdowns and 150 yards, that's a pretty darn good day, and you could do that against Dallas. And Philadelphia still has something to play for. That's the thing. That's the most important thing. Philadelphia is 12-3. Detroit is 13-2. Minnesota's 13-2. So they're playing for buys throughout the playoffs. So they're going to be playing. They're going to be playing to win. Thielen versus Bucks or Shakir versus Jets. I'd probably go Thielen versus Bucks. I heard it's been the rain in Florida, and Dylan, if you're around, let me know. It's been light. It hasn't been a heavy rain. At least that's how it was raining, or how I think they explained it to me earlier today. But when you go up to New York or Buffalo or whatever it might be, that's going to be a heavy rain because, if it's not snow, it's a heavy rain. So I would still go Thielen. Reed or Debo, I would go Debo. Reed, it's kind of like winning the lottery if you actually pick the correct wide receiver with Green Bay that scores points that week. Do you think there's any chance that Tua plays? Emmett, they haven't completely ruled him out. They just said doubtful. So I think it's like a 20% chance that he'll play. Should I start Jacoby or London over Achane if Tua is out? I wouldn't start Jacoby. You could consider London. He's over the last 4 weeks, he's gotten between 8 and 12 points every game. And Achane may not even get 8 points because there were games earlier in the year when Tua was out that he didn't get 8 points. So I'm in the fantasy champs. Yeah, I know you're in the fantasy champs. So I would, if I'm going to pick anybody, I'd pick London. And like I said, London has been 8 to 12. Achane could, get 6, and then you might wish you had 8 points with London, but I don't see either one of them having gigantic days. But without Tua, Achane may not have much of a day because I don't think they have many backup quarterbacks that can throw the ball. Lions defense or Cowboys defense? I think Philadelphia is going to score on Dallas. I would not go Cowboys defense. I think San Francisco is just dysfunctional enough that it'll be worth your while to start Lions. Debo or Reed? I think I answered that. I would go Debo. Flex Breece or Garrett Wilson? Probably Breece because Wilson has to split the touches with or the catches to be specific with Adams, and Rodgers is always looking for Adams these days. Jamo, Downs, or McMillan? I'd go McMillan, but I believe that Downs is the key person that Flacco throws to. So if you wanted to go with Downs because of that, maybe roll the dice. McMillan has to compete against Evans for the catches. But Downs, when Flacco was in there, he was his receiver. Cowboys defense or Lions defense? I think I just answered that. I'm getting all confused now. I'd go Lions defense. But what about all the injury stuff with Guerendo? Do you think he'll be solid after missing? Yeah, that's a good question. Look at Dobbins today. He ended up getting 14 points. He literally just came off the IR, barely practiced, and he was fine. And then you look at somebody like Connor, who didn't even make it through an entire game without either re-injuring or getting a new injury someplace. So, I don't have any data that says, hey, when someone's returning from an injury, 78% of the time, they don't make it through the full game. What I'm thinking is, well, let me just look up Grendel's injury report. I know that he's questionable. He's obviously questionable. There's no doubt about that, okay? It'd be great if he. Oh wait, he's not listed as questionable anymore. That's good. First of all, foot hamstring was removed. Well, the foot thing, I always thought he could. I think the hamstring was a little bit newer. I think the foot thing was from the game. He was taken out of the game where he got 9.5 points. But one of the things with him is he had 8.1 points with 1 touchdown. He had 25 points with 2 touchdowns. He had 9.5 with 57 yards and 18 yards receiving. Then he was out against Miami. Guarando's expected volume should be enough to serve as a back end RB2 for championship week. Even with a matchup on deck against the Lions team ceding just 16.9 fantasy points per game to opposing backfields, Guarando's expected volume should be enough to serve, ceding just 16.9. Well, 16.9 fantasy points isn't bad. I mean, I think we'd all take that. If he got 16, almost 17 points, I think we'd all be happy with that. So, yeah, I think Guarando's not listed as questionable. I think that's a good sign. I don't know if he's going to make it through the game. Obviously, I don't know that. I wish I knew that. I don't know that. There's no data. There's no information. He's not listed as questionable, which makes me feel like he's as healthy as he can be for week 17 of the NFL regular season, which, sometimes you're not really in any health. You're just getting by, So I think he'll be good to go. I think he'll make it through the game. I don't see any reason to worry about it. If he was still listed as questionable, I would maybe worry about that or think about it. Okay, Chow. On Okonkwo or Jonnu, I would go Okonkwo. If Tua doesn't play, I'd go Okonkwo. If Tua plays, I'd go Jonnu. Starting Abdullah and Madison as my 1 and 2 for the chip. Injuries, can we get 10 to 15 points each? Yeah, you probably could get 10 to 15 points each. Seriously, you probably could with them. I bench Higgins for Ladd. I'm so sad. Well, at least you had Ladd. Ladd got like 25. Higgins got 36. I mean, 25 is still a pretty good day and puts you in a good position, unless you had, like I did, a kicker that got you 0 and a running back that gets you 5 points. McMillan, Reed, or Devontae Smith. Well, I wouldn't do Reed because there's too many wide receivers they throw to, and it's like picking the lottery with Green Bay. Which receiver is going to get the real points this week? And Devontae Smith with Jalen Hurts out, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is he going to be able to pass? I would go with McMillan. It's a decent matchup against the Panthers. I bench Higgins for Ladd. Okay, I already saw that. McMillan or Jamo for $2,000, huh, Eric? I'd go McMillan because he's been putting up the points, and it's a pretty good matchup. San Francisco against wide receivers, just so you know, is third. They give up 15.0 points per week on average. So McMillan has a much favorable matchup against the Panthers, who give up 22.7. So I'd go with McMillan for that reason, at least. People are saying Shakir over AJ Brown because of Pickett starting. Really? I mean, Shakir, here's the thing about Shakir. Let's look at it like this. Yes, could Shakir have a great game? Yeah, he could. The other thing about Shakir is he may not play the whole game, especially if Buffalo's leading by a lot. I mean, especially, but Buffalo's going to win their division, make the playoffs, and they really have no other reason. I don't know if they have the head-to-head matchups with other people, but I mean, Shakir's had 3, 12.9, 19, 5. In the last 4 weeks, he's had 2 games at 5 or under. So I have a hard time saying start Shakir. The Jets against wide receivers aren't that bad. They're tied for 14th. They only give up 21.4. Now they could put up a lot more points than 21.4, but they could hold them to that or less. So, I mean, what's AJ Brown probably going to get you? Let's just see. Shakir. I mean, Shakir has put up low points. He had 3.2 against New England last week, and he was targeted 6 times. He only caught 2. He scored 12.9. He was targeted 7 times. He caught 6. He was targeted 7 times, caught 4, and he got 5 points against San Francisco. My point being, I might still go with AJ Brown. I don't know that Shakir. Yeah, I might go with Shakir on that because you just don't know if Pickett's even going to be able to throw the ball. He might put up 7 points or something stupid and ridiculous. All right, let me just go to the latest. Achane or Spears in PPR with Tua injury. If Tua's out, I would start Spears. If Tua plays, I'd start Achane. Calvin Ridley, Jonnu Smith, or Jerome Ford at flex. Well, if Tua doesn't play, I would not be picking Jonnu Smith. If Ford or Ridley probably has a better matchup, but is Ridley putting up any points? Calvin Ridley, 15, 7, 19. Okay. Yeah, I'd probably go Ridley then. I'd go Ridley over Ford. Ford has a tougher matchup. I mean, Ridley plays Jacksonville. Oh, got to do a puzzle. Stupid puzzles. So I'm not a robot. All right. Kendre Miller, Abdullah. I'd go Abdullah. Kendre Miller didn't show me anything last week. Josh Allen or Sam Darnold. It's hard for me to say don't start Josh Allen. My only fear is, all right, they might not play Josh Allen the whole game. And with Sam Darnold, he's got to win the game. And he's playing Green Bay. And you know Green Bay is going to be fighting tooth and nail against Minnesota. So you might want to go with Sam Darnold. He's been putting up some good points. In the regular season, I would never say, or this season, I wouldn't say Josh Allen. I would never say Darnold over Josh Allen. But since I have this thought that Josh Allen might not play the whole game, I would go Sam Darnold. Achane or Abdullah. Well, if Tua doesn't play, I'd go Abdullah. Achane or Spears, same thing. I'd go Spears if Tua doesn't play. If Tua plays, I'd go Spears. Late for me. Oh, keep up. All right. Keep up. Good night. Good luck. Goff or Darnold? Well, let's just see. 49ers or Green Bay against quarterbacks. 49ers or Green Bay. 49ers are 5th. Green Bay is 6th. God. Okay. Goff or Darnold? I would probably go with Goff because he's been playing better. Like his numbers are better. Let me just double check on that. Jared Goff, 25, 41, 23, 16.9. Darnold, I don't think he's. Darnold has 22, 12, 34, 19. Oh boy. 25, 41, 23, 16. I think Goff's been playing a little bit better. Yeah. Just a little bit better. Yeah. And his 16, Goff had 16, Darnold had 12. So even on a bad day, Goff puts up more points. I would go with Goff. He still has St. Brown, Williams, Gibbs. He scored 25 against Chicago with just Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs can run. I'm not worried about that. Chig or Kincaid, I would go Chig. It's a good matchup. Shakir or Jacoby. Jacoby hasn't been putting up points. I would go with Shakir. The only thing about Shakir is there is a possibility in my mind that Buffalo doesn't play their starters the whole game because they don't really need to. They're not going to get the number 1 seed. They're going to win their division. I don't know where they are with the tiebreakers with the other teams. That would be the only caveat to any of this. But I just worry about that. Luke, Chig, or Kincaid, I'd go Chig. Abdullah or Tracy. I would go Abdullah. I just don't like the Giants' offense. I just don't trust it. Ridley or Downs. I'd probably go Downs because he's Flacco's wide receiver. I just don't. The Giants' offense really scares me. Not that the Raiders' offense is any better or a lot better, but Abdullah's been doing it. He's been putting up good points the last couple of weeks, and he has a decent matchup this week. Who do I sit this week for Chip? Terry, Evans, or Ahmed? Oh my God. Come on, dude. Seriously? I think Terry's going to have a good week. I think, oh my God. Why do you have to sit anybody? How many freaking wide receivers do you have? Jeez. Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Good God, man. What do you got? Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase? T. Higgins? Wow. Okay. Amon-Ra has Jameson. Terry kind of is a clear number one, kind of. Evans has now McMillan. Well, let me just see. Detroit, I'll just say, oh, you know what it is? San Francisco against wide receivers is tough. So I would probably, if I have to sit anybody, I would sit Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would go Terry because Atlanta is 11. 49ers are fifth. They give up 18.0. Falcons give up 19.3. Not a lot of difference there. And then I would go Terry. I bet you a lot of people pick Amon-Ra though. Like initially my head was Terry or Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra probably got you to the dance. He probably made it. Like, why would you take him out of the game? Why would you take Terry out of the game? He's been very consistent. Evans hasn't been consistent all the time. All right. So from that standpoint, I would probably, Amon-Ra had a couple weeks there where he was dropping eggs all over the place, but I would probably go Amon-Ra and Terry McLaurin only because Evans isn't always Mr. Consistent. And we know that McMillan is a big part of that offense now. How has Evans been over the last few weeks? 9, 32, 8.9, 21, 9. I mean, he's due for a big week because he's like bad week, good week, bad week, good week, bad week, good week. But you don't want the 9 points. So let's look up St. Brown. I know I'm taking a long time. I'm losing customers, aren't I? I don't think St. Brown has. Well, they don't give it to me. Okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown. 1637.99. See, I think that was kind of a blip. Yeah, I would go Terry and Amon-Ra. Those are the two biggies. Evans has been a little inconsistent. You're going to shoot me if I'm wrong about this. I know that, but I get it. I get it. I totally get it. But I would go, and I've really slowed down, haven't I? This is a tough question. I mean, nobody usually asks me between these three guys. I would go Terry and Amon-Ra. All right, let me scroll to the bottom. Some people are spamming me. Callum, you don't need to spam me. Spears or London, I'd go Spears. Neighbors, Cook, Hill, Thielen, pick two. All right, if Tua doesn't play, I would not pick Hill. All right, don't even pick him. All right, so that leaves us three. I would go Thielen and Cook. The only problem I have with Cook, though, is are they going to keep him in the whole game? Because some people are saying, do they really think Josh Allen's going to play the whole game? If that's the case, will they just take out a lot of the starters? I don't know. I would go Cook or Thielen. If you're worried about Cook and being taken out of the game, then I'd go Neighbors and Thielen. If Tua plays, I would go Hill And Cook, if you're worried about Cook, I would go Hill and Thielen. Jerome Ford or Isaac Guerendo, I'd go Guerendo because he has a better matchup than Ford. And Cleveland doesn't have Njoku, who put up, had like 14 points last game. So they don't have that safety net with DTR, who doesn't really throw anything down the field, or he didn't last week. So I would probably go Isaac Guerendo. Need to spam. What? You need to spam? No, please don't spam. Abdullah or Kendre Miller? I'd go Abdullah. Adams, BTJ, or McLaurin. Pick two with Daniels as your quarterback. I'd go Adams and McLaurin. I think they're both going to play. I think they'll have good games. BTJ kind of has a little bit tougher matchup. Buffalo's not good against wide receivers, and the Falcons, you know what? The Falcons are not great. I mean, the Falcons are 11th. They give up 19.3, but I think BTJ, Tennessee, the Titans. Oh, this is again. Hold on a second. Okay. The Titans are 9th. Let me. Atlanta. Atlanta against the pass is 21st. I was looking at quarterbacks. Atlanta is a good matchup, and Buffalo is last. So I would go McLaurin, and I would go Adams. McLaurin and Adams. Any issue with Guerendo injury status? No, he's off the injury report, Moon Guy. He's not on the injury report. He's not listed. All right, we're at 7,300 likes. Can we get it to 75? Also, don't forget to follow me. We have 11 people on TikTok that have started to follow me. If you're on YouTube or any other site, please hit that like button if you haven't already. Also, hit subscribe on YouTube. That doesn't cost any money. It just means you follow me and you know when I go live. All right, we have 7355 in the likes on TikTok. We have 11 followers. Let's try to get a few more followers. Tajay Spears or Guerendo with Pollard being out? I'd probably go with Tajay Spears. I would go Tajay Spears. He's had back-to-back good weeks with Pollard healthy. What can he do as the clear number one? That's what I keep asking myself. Ridley or Garrett Wilson? Oh, that's a good riddle. Ridley or Wilson? I'd go Ridley against Jacksonville. It's a good matchup, although Buffalo's a good matchup because they're last place against wide receivers, but you got to figure Adams is probably going to get the bulk of those. BTJ or Thielen? Thielen has a little bit better matchup than BTJ, so I would go Thielen. Achane or Spears? If Tua does not play, I would go Spears. If Tua plays, I would go Achane. Goff or Darnold? I would go with Goff. He's been playing just a little bit better. They both have about the same matchup defense-wise. Tracy or Ford? That's a good one. I don't know that I got that one today. I got some with Ford. I got some with Tracy, but I don't know that I got Miami Dolphins and Colts against the run. Dolphins are 7th. Wait a second. Run. The Colts are 14th. So the better matchup is for Tracy, but I bet you everybody likes him because he's been putting up good numbers with Jerome Ford, but Njoku's out. So I'd probably go with Tracy because Njoku's out, and that's the safety net for DTR, their quarterback. Eddie Albalos, Adams, BTJ, or McLaurin, pick two. Did I do this one? Adams and McLaurin. I did that one, didn't I? Adams and McLaurin. They have decent matchups. They've been pretty steady. Adams has been putting up monster numbers. So that's how I would go there. All right. Let's see. Any new ones? Jacoby Myers, Tajay Spears. I'd go Tajay Spears. Or as you have Tasha Spears. I like Tasha Spears, actually. It's not necessarily a tough sounding name, but all right. Let's see. Don't forget to hit that follow button. I go live pretty much every day. I'll be live through Monday. Maybe I'll do Monday, the last week 18, just to say hi, goodbye to everybody. Then I'll probably start doing some fantasy basketball. I might do some daily fantasy as well, daily fantasy football during the playoffs, because I know people will be looking for that kind of stuff. Have I missed anybody? Any new ones? Drake, London, or oh yeah, okay, I already did that one. What time do you think we will know if Tua plays tomorrow? 90 minutes before game time, or say 75 minutes, because it's usually about 10 or 15 minutes after 90 minutes that it's updated on fantasy rosters. So they say 90 minutes, but let's see. So that game's at 4:05. Let's just say 4 o'clock. So 2:30. So say 2:45, you'll know tomorrow Eastern time. Jonnu or Chig? I would go Chig if Tua doesn't play. If Tua plays, I'd go Jonnu. If Tua doesn't play, I'd definitely go Chig. McMillan or Neighbors? Look, I'm really leaning towards McMillan. It's a favorable matchup. That offense with the Giants is pretty nasty looking. Should I? That a new one? What? What do you say? Drake London or Tajay Spears? I would go Tajay Spears or Tasha Spears, like I said. Should I start Drake London? I wouldn't start Drake London over Tajay Spears. Drake London gives you 8 to 12 points. Tajay is the clear number one. He has no Pollard. Over the last 2 weeks, he scored 20 and 24 when Pollard was still running for them. All right. Now, you could look at it like, hey, Drake London, get you 8 to 12 points because that's what he's done the last 4 weeks. And Tajay Spears is kind of new to this whole starting thing and being the number one running back. So maybe he gives you like 7 to 17. But me, myself, and I would start Tajay Spears. If you want to play it safe, I would go Drake London. But here's the thing about Drake London. Again, over the last 4 weeks, the most points he's scored, at least in a half PPR league, is 12.8. He's just not putting up great numbers. He's putting up okay numbers, high average numbers. Spears has been putting up a lot bigger numbers. Wait. Elver's back. Hey, Elver. Yeah, I'd go Tajay Spears. Oh, Chig plays at 12, so you're not going to know. Well, I think Chig should have a good game, though. It's a good matchup. McMillan or Neighbors? I'd go McMillan. I don't like the Giants. I mean, I don't trust the Giants offense to do much. Jennings or Ridley? Jennings has been highly inconsistent. Ridley did have a good week last week, and he has a favorable matchup against Jacksonville. So I would go Ridley, but it's based on the matchup. I mean, Jennings could score 40 points. He could have 4. Like, that's what it's become with Jennings. Ridley, at least on paper, well, not on paper, but he's playing a team that he should get a decent amount of points against, and he got a decent amount of points last week. Now he puts up 7, 9, 5, 11, 7, 22, 9.8. But, Jennings on a bad day doesn't even necessarily get 5. Let's just look and see what he gets. See, guys, I take too long. I start thinking about all this, and I take too long. 7, 4, 24, 7, 6. I would probably go, not probably, I would go Ridley, but if you want to roll the dice because you think Jennings has a higher upside, Jennings against Detroit, Ridley against Jacksonville, Jacksonville against wide receivers. Where are they? They're 8th actually against wide receivers, which is nuts to say. And Detroit is 27th. So actually, Ridley on paper has a tougher matchup than Jennings, but Jennings splits things with a lot with Debo, and that's my fear as well. But if you wanted to go with Jennings based on the matchup, you could. But Ridley's probably going to get the majority of the targets. And overall, teams usually do well against Jacksonville. It helps a lot of players out playing Jacksonville. Just ask Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, playing T. Higgins. Yeah, tell me about it. Saquon Barkley or Miles Sanders? Are you throwing me a curveball here, dude? What's up, Dre's? What's that? Oh, Elver. Start Achane or Tracy Jr. If Tua plays, start Achane. If Tua doesn't play, start Tracy Jr. Miles Sanders. Is this one of those backups? Yeah, I don't even know if Miles Sanders. He's on the injured reserve. Miles Sanders. I don't even know that you can start him. He's listed as injured reserve ankle. I don't think you could start him. Do you mean the other guy? God, what's his name? Everybody keeps asking me about him. He had 1.3 points last week. Yeah, Miles Sanders is on injured reserve, and there's no new updates. Let me go to Chuba real quick and figure out this guy's name. All of a sudden, I draw a blank now on the guy everybody's been asking me about that plays Blackshear. Blackshear only has 1.3 points last week. He doesn't have enough information for me to tell you guys, yeah, start him. He should be good. So I would still go Saquon Barkley. I know that Pickett is the quarterback, but don't you think that means that he's going to be more involved in the offense? And he is one heck of a runner. I really don't trust, okay, yes, I don't trust the fact that Pickett's the quarterback for Philadelphia, but Saquon's probably, just showing up, he gets 13 points. The backup for Chuba, Blackshear, who knows? He could have 3 points. I think Saquon gets 3 points, in the first quarter. The chat's going crazy again. Let's see here. Achane, Ford, Spears. Well, if Tua doesn't play, I might go Ford and Spears. I would go Ford and Spears. If Tua plays, I'd go Achane and Spears. Ford has a tough matchup, and he doesn't have Njoku. So they're probably going to give him the ball a lot. He's got to get some openings. Downs or Reed? I'd go Downs because Flacco's the quarterback for Indy, and he likes to throw to Downs. Now, Reed, it's like a crapshoot with Reed. Is it his week to get points? Is it not his week to get points? They have 4 wide receivers that they throw to with Green Bay. And that's the thing that sort of bothers me or makes me worried about them. Rodgers, Bryce Young, or Flacco? I'd probably go Bryce Young against Tampa Bay. Let's just see real quick. Buffalo, though. See, Buffalo against quarterbacks, I don't think they're good at anything, Buffalo. Defensively, they're 28. They give up 24.8. I mean, on paper, Rodgers should have a good game tomorrow. All right. Tampa Bay is 12th. Buffalo is 28th. They give up 24.8. Tampa Bay gives up 20. So it's a difference of almost 5 points. And the Giants actually give up 20.3. So, yeah, based on the matchup, I hate to say that, Rodgers should have a good game. But the only problem with that is Rodgers in the last 4 weeks has only had one good game, and that was against Jacksonville. And that worries me. Flacco doesn't put up a lot of points. Bryce Young has had 27, 13, 13, 23. He had 23 against Tampa Bay. The research that I did, the proprietary research that I did, shows that when a player scores over 15 points the first time they play a team, when they play a team a second time, they will go down in points. Doesn't mean they'll go down by like 10. It could mean they go down by 1. I would probably start Bryce Young over Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers did get 30 points against Jacksonville. Yes, no doubt about it. But he got 12 against the Rams. He got 17 against Miami, and he got 15 against Seattle. Oh, and by the way, he got 16 against Indianapolis. He got 4 against Arizona. And that's the last 6 weeks. He's only gotten over 19 points in 6 weeks one time. So if anybody ever asked me, why didn't you suggest starting Aaron Rodgers? Because somebody got all mad at me that Aaron Rodgers got 30 points and I told him to start somebody else over Aaron Rodgers. That's why. He's not putting up 19 or more points, and that's what I'm looking for in a quarterback. He did it 1 of 6 weeks. All right, Josh Downs or Pittman. I'd go Downs because Flacco likes to throw to Downs. Guerendo or McMillan. I'd go Guerendo because he's the clear number 1. McMillan still has to split with Evans. Would you rather start Tyreek Hill or Carolina running back? Oh, I wouldn't want to start either one of them. Hey, Beto, John Paul got in there someplace, huh? I've actually gotten some gifts. Let me go to you, John Paul. Would you rather start Tyreek Hill or Carolina? The Carolina running back, I don't know what to tell you. And with Tyreek in this, Tyreek could get 3 points. The Carolina running back could get 3 points. There's no good answer here. All right. Like, I could be really cool and say, oh, go with, Blackshear. But last week he had 1.3 points. And before that, he didn't do much. All right. Now, Tyreek Hill had been playing well. If Tua plays, if Tua plays, and there's a slim chance that Tua plays, you start Tyreek Hill, obviously. All right. But because Tua probably doesn't play, and it's a wide receiver, which means someone has to throw him the ball, that has to make a good pass, and he has to catch it, unlike what Jamar Chase did in the end zone today and could have had an extra 6 points early sometime in the first half. Carolina, I would almost go with the Carolina running back and just roll the dice because you're rolling the dice with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek did not put up any good points when Tua was not the quarterback. I actually said at one point this season to avoid him. I really don't want to say the Carolina running back, but my fear is Tyreek gets 2 targets and catches 1 ball tomorrow. That's my fear. At least with the running back, you turn around and hand him the ball, or maybe you toss it back to him. Start Guerendo or McMillan? I'd go Guerendo. I think I answered that one. Aaron Jones or A.J. Brown? I'd go Aaron Jones because A.J. Brown has Pickett throwing him the ball or not. Hawk or Kraft? I'd go Kraft. Minnesota against tight ends. Let's just look it up. Watch them be. No, they're not very good. They give a 7.7. I'd go Kraft. HN playable without Tua. As someone said earlier, David, he didn't put up a lot of points earlier in the season without Tua. So I don't think he really gets much into double digits. Okay, Beto. Chances Davante Adams underperforms. Well, there's always a chance. Okay, so let me just say that. There's always a chance. Let's think about this. The Bills are not good against wide receivers. They're dead last in the NFL. That really doesn't mean that they're going to be the worst this week. It's an average over the last 4 weeks. Maybe, just maybe, Aaron Rodgers passes to Davante Adams a few times, gives him about 10 points, but during the game, say that's over the game. But let's say that Garrett Wilson is open more and he sees him open and he throws him the ball. Or maybe Garrett Wilson gets in his ear and says, hey, why don't you ever, give me some points? So there is that chance going into this game. That's the way that I would look at it. I think Adams is still going to have a good game, but when I look at that, I'm saying, oh, he might get 13, 15, 16 points. I can't predict that he gets 25. I can't predict that T. Higgins gets 3 touchdowns. I would have thought Jamar Chase got at least 1 touchdown if Higgins gets 3. But yeah, there's a chance. There's always a chance. Definitely. Most definitely. Davante Adams might might be targeted by the Bills defense and allow Garrett Wilson to be open more. Boy, Garrett Wilson, people that have Garrett Wilson on their team would be really happy to hear that. I won't know if Tua plays, Carolina plays 1 p.m. Miami plays at 4. Yeah, that's the problem with all this. You might want to check. You can still possibly check. It's 90 minutes before game time. I say 75 minutes because that's when the news comes out. But sometimes in the morning, they'll say he is active. He is not, he's inactive. Sometimes they'll let you know above and beyond that. I don't think they love to do that, but every once in a while, they'll give information before that report goes out 90 minutes before game time. But other than that, you're not going to know, and you don't want to hold that position for someone that doesn't have the star quarterback throwing to them because they didn't do anything last year. Super flex, Love or Rodgers? I'd go Love. Rodgers has a good matchup, but he just doesn't put up a lot of points. Love has been more, he's been a little bit better, a little bit stronger. Super flex, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett. I wouldn't go Kenny Pickett. Or Josh Downs. Let's just see what Mac Jones has done. It's hard for me to say because quarterbacks usually get a lot of points. I mean, Mac Jones has had 13, 20, 7, 20. I'd probably go Mac Jones because they are playing Tennessee. Tennessee against quarterbacks. Let's just see here. Titans against quarterbacks. Titans against quarterbacks are 25th. They give up 23.0 points. I don't expect him to get 23 points, but he might get 17. Okay, let's be conservative and say he gets 15 and a half, 16. That's probably better than Downs. It's better than Kenny Pickett, probably. Chig or Jonnu. Well, for some reason we were able to know if Tua plays because he plays the second group of games. I'd probably go with Chig so that I don't get kind of screwed waiting for Jonnu, but I would check the active and inactive reports in the morning. Sometimes they give key information. Do I still start Achane with Tua out? I got McMillan. Well, as we're talking about, here's the layers. If Tua plays, start Achane, but we won't know until 90 minutes beforehand. Tua plays the 4 o'clock Eastern game. McMillan plays the 1 o'clock game. So you might have to play McMillan because Tua might not be playing. You got to either roll the dice because you might not know anything, like roll the dice and start Achane, or go with McMillan to be safe rather than definitely getting a 0 in that spot. Love or Rodgers, I already answered. McMillan or Jennings or BTJ. I'd go McMillan or BTJ. Jennings is just wildly inconsistent. Love or Rodgers, I answered that one. I keep saying that. Chig or Johnny, I answered that. Okay, let me go down to the bottom. At flex, Drake London or Jerome Ford. I'd probably go Drake London because he gets 8 to 12 points. Jerome Ford without Njoku and that safety net as a tight end, I just don't know that he gets you. I don't know that Jerome Ford gets you more than about 10 points. And I think Drake London probably gets you 10. Pittman or Downs and why, SJP? I'll tell you what I've been saying all night. I would go with Downs because Flacco likes to throw to Downs rather than Pittman. So I would go with Downs. And that's why, because Flacco's the quarterback. Sam Darnold or Bryce Young, I would go Darnold. I mean, he's got to win. He's got to win. And he's going against Green Bay. Green Bay's tough. Don't get me wrong. He is, but Bryce Young is good, but he could have a bad day against Tampa Bay. Their defense is better than it was a month ago. JT or Bucky Irving. I've heard some people say that JT doesn't score as much with Flacco as the quarterback. I would probably, for that reason alone, I would go with Bucky Irving. New York against the run. Let's just look that up. The Giants against running backs. They're 24th. They're not very good. Breece Hall or Spears? God bless America. If I had a dime for every time I answered this question. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, oh my God, I wish I could record myself. Yeah, McBride went off tonight. It was great. Eagles or Colts? I'd probably go Colts because they play the Giants and their offense is really weak. But if you want to just go with a really good defense, I would play the Eagles anyway. If they got you to the dance, I would play the Eagles. If you're playing matchup wise and you like matchups, I would go with the Colts. Okay. Breece Hall can get you anywhere from 6 to 17 points. Spears, although he's been getting 20, 24 points, I don't know that I'm going to, believe that he's going to get you another 20 or 24 points this week. I think Spears probably gets you, between, say, 9 and 13 points. Breece Hall has a higher ceiling and a lower floor. Spears has a smaller range, but probably I would go with Spears because Hall has been a lot wider, and Spears has been putting up 20, 24 points with Pollard as the number one. And Breece Hall's been the number one the whole season, and he's been inconsistent. What did I do? Johnny Nito. You say, damn, sideline fans. What did I do? McBride. Yeah, McBride. My God, McBride. What a weird week. What a weird day, even. Ladd McConkey has a real tough matchup, at least on paper. The Patriots are number one against wide receivers. He gets 25 points, and then T. Higgins gets 3 touchdowns. No, Jason, I would go Spears because I think Spears probably gets you 13 points guaranteed. However, if you want to take a risk, I would do Breece Hall because he can get you like 7 to 17. I think Spears gets you like 8 to 14 easy. I don't think that he's going to get 20 again. I mean, 3 weeks in a row of getting 20 or more points, that's a pretty big deal. You know what I'm saying? Bryce Young or Flacco? I'd go Bryce Young. He's been playing good. Flacco looked bad. He only really had one game this year where he put up any points. He looked bad in his last matchup. Thielen or Shakir? I'd go Thielen. He's been a lot more consistent than Shakir. I had T. Higgins, Ladd, and McBride on my team. Oh my God, Donald, you are the luckiest man on the face of the earth right now. You're not losing. I mean, unless everybody else gets zeros, like Fairbairn, or 4s like Boswell. They're both kickers, of course. Or what's his face? Mixon got like 7 points. Defense help. Okay, you're going to give me 5 names. You got to narrow that down, Daryl Bailey. You can't give me 5 names. You don't have 5 defenses on your team. Narrow that down to 2 or 3. I'm not going through 5 names. I love you. I mean, I love doing this, but I can't go through 5 names. Thielen or Ridley? I go Thielen. He's been more consistent. Ridley is still a little bit of a crapshoot. Aubrey or Vikings kicker? I go Aubrey because he can hit anything from 50 yards. You're going to make me look this up, though, because now I feel bad. Let's see. Dallas plays Philadelphia. Vikings play Green Bay. So Green Bay against kickers in Philadelphia. Green Bay. Well, 0 against New Orleans. 9, 11, 3, 5, 9, 11, 10, 12, 8, 1, 7. Yeah, not too bad. Green Bay's not so bad. Philadelphia. Four eight four nine two. Oh my God. I would go green. I would go Minnesota. I'd go Minnesota because Philadelphia does not give up a lot of points to kickers, which means their defense puts a lock and handcuffs on you. Devontae Smith or Guerrero with Pickett as the quarterback. I'd go Guerrero. I don't know what Devontae Smith's going to put up. Hall or Spears? Oh my God. I swear this is like the 50th time I've answered this. Spears has a higher ceiling. I'm not, please, Callum, don't think that I'm taking it out on you. I've just answered this a lot. I wish there was a way that I could answer this without having to keep saying this. Spears is like 8 to 17 points. Hall is probably, no. Hold on a second. Spears probably gets you 10 to 14 points ish. Hall probably gets you anywhere from 8 points to 18. Higher ceiling, lower floor. He has not been putting up great points for the last month, really. But he has a really good matchup. But Spears has been putting up 20, 24 points, but he wasn't even the only wide receiver. So I think Spears is going to have a good game. Hall could have a good game, and that's why he's a risk because he hasn't been putting up good points. I would go with Spears based on the fact that he was running with Pollard still as the number one, getting 20 and 24 points. Now he's the clear number one, and I think he gets you 13 points minimum. But Hall could have a higher upside. He does have a good matchup. He just has not been putting up a lot of points. All right, let's see what we got here. Spears or Guerrero? Spears or Guerrero? Tennessee, the Titans against running backs. They're in last place. So I would go Spears. Am I just getting confused here? Hold on. I mean, against Jacksonville. What am I saying? Yeah. Jacksonville isn't that bad. I would still go Spears. Guerrero over Tyrone Tracy. I'd go Guerrero. Detroit is not that good against running backs. They're 23rd. So Guerrero should have a decent day. They give up 21.3 points to running backs over the last 4 weeks on average. London or McMillan? London probably gives you, because he has over the last month, gives you 8 to 12 points. McMillan has been a little bit higher. He could be a little bit lower. He's a little bit more of a risk than London. So for that reason, I would say if you want 8 to 12 points, you go with London. It's a pretty safe bet. If you want something that could be a little bit lower, but also 14 or 15 points, I would go with McMillan. So McMillan could be like 6 or 7, all the way up to 14 or 15. London's probably 8 to 12. So which one do you want? London or Wilson? Oh my God. London or Wilson? I would go with London. He's 8 to 12. Wilson's more of a risk because you know that Davante Adams splits time with Wilson. So it's, is Wilson going to get 7 points? Is Wilson going to get 17 points? He's more of a gamble. It's a decent matchup for Wilson. The Bills are not very good against wide receivers, but will Adams get most of those receptions? That's the thing I'm worried about. London, is going to get 8 to 12 at least, because that's exactly what he's done in the last 4 weeks. Start Spears or Debo? I would start Spears. Debo is very inconsistent. Coker or Watson? Oh my God, really? I wouldn't want to start either one of them. And here's why. Watson is with Green Bay, right? That's the Watson. Or are you talking about the Watson? Isn't there a Watson on Green Bay and a Watson on Kansas City? I don't know. I'm assuming you mean Justin Watson plays for Kansas City. Is it Christian Watson plays for Green Bay, but he's question. I don't know which Watson it is, but anyway, I I would probably go with Coker because if it's Green Bay, they have 4 wide receivers, and I don't know who's going to be called on to put on the most points tomorrow. So that's why I'm not in love with going with a Watson that plays for Green Bay. So if it's the Watson with Kansas City, same kind of thing. You have DeAndre Hopkins, you have Xavier Worthy, you have Hollywood Brown. So it's almost like Kansas City's turned into Green Bay. So I would go with Coker. It's a good matchup. Garrett Wilson or Tyreek Hill with Tua possibly not playing. Well, if Tua doesn't play, Tyreek Hill doesn't have any value. Therefore, I would go with Garrett Wilson. But Garrett Wilson has the 1 o'clock game, and Tyreek Hill has the 4 o'clock Eastern game. So you may not know definitely if Tua is or isn't playing by the time you have to make the decision about Garrett Wilson. So you see what the problem is there? So you might have to put Garrett Wilson in and then later find out that Tua is playing, but there's a slim chance he's playing. He's doubtful. That usually means they're not playing. I'm going with the assumption that he's not going to play. Now, I don't read minds. I can't tell the future. All right. I can look at data. I can look at the context, meaning what the defense is against them, but that's about all I can do. Jaden Reed or Guerrero, you mean Guerendo. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm very literal when you guys give me names, and I'm thinking, is there a Guerrero that I don't know about? I'm assuming you mean Guerendo because I can't think of a Guerrero at the top of my head, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. I've been known to really mess this up before. But I would go Guerendo because Jaden Reed, again, with Green Bay, they have 4 wide receivers they throw to and Kraft. There's so many people they throw to. I would go with Guerendo because Jaden Reed could get 6 points. Guerendo can at least, on a bad day, he gets you 9 points. So that's why I would go there. Yeah, Green Bay. You're talking about, yeah, Samuel, on that one, I have the wrong mouse. On that one, Samuel, Green Bay just throws it too many people. That's why I would go with Coker. Who wins, Raiders or Saints? Who cares? The way the Saints looked against Green Bay, I would almost say the Raiders. The Raiders at least have something going with Madison and Amir Abdullah. They have something going with them. I don't know what the spread is or anything like that. I don't follow that kind. I mean, I do daily fantasy, but I don't necessarily look at like pure gambling. Um, I would guess the Raiders. Saints just look so bad, and Kendre Miller doesn't look like he can even run. That's my fear. Achane or Tracy? Well, obviously, Tracy play. Of course, Tracy plays at 1, and Achane plays at 4. So you may not even know if Tua is available until like Tracy's already halfway done with this game because it's 90 minutes, or technically it's 75 minutes. I think because it takes about 10 or 15 minutes to update everything in the reports. But so 75 minutes before game time, you'll know whether or not Tua is playing. If Tua plays, or you think he plays, or you read tomorrow morning that Tua is definitely going to play, I would play Chan. If nothing changes, if you have no new reports, I would play Tracy. 99% players don't play when doubtful. Yeah, exactly, Brando. I agree with you, but there's always that chance. That's why we play the games. McMillan or Garrett Wilson? McMillan's been a little bit more consistent over the last few weeks. That's why I'm thinking McMillan. Let me just look it up real quick. You guys know how I do. I look everything up. It takes a little. I mean, he's had 14, 16, 19. Now he hasn't played really good teams, but he plays Carolina. They're not a very good team. He's 14 against Dallas, 16 against the Chargers, 19 against Vegas. I think you play McMillan. Garrett Wilson has a favorable matchup because the Bills aren't very good against wide receivers. But the problem I have with all of this is the fact that Adams could get all the main passes tomorrow, like he has been. Reed or McMillan, Brody? I'd go McMillan. Reed is, like I keep saying, a crapshoot. it it's they have 4 wide receivers that they throw to. Will he be the one that scores points, or will it be Watson, or will it be Wicks, or will it be Dobbs, or will he throw more to Kraft even? So that's why I'm going with McMillan, and McMillan's had in the teens the last 3 weeks, and those are the numbers that you want. Turner says, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, Turner. No problem. T. Higgins had a game. Yeah, T. Higgins was on fire, dude. He cooked or whatever it is. I mean, he did it. I mean, he probably by himself beat like I don't know 30% of the teams or 25% of the teams in championships this week. Like his numbers alone are going to be what makes that team probably win the championship. I mean, just think about that. When you score half PPR, he got like 34, 35. I think full PPR, did he get 40 or over 40 or something like that? Him alone, I'm telling you, he would, and you got to figure not every team in the championship has T. Higgins, but let's just say that 20% of them did. He was the reason 20% of the teams will win the championship. I mean, that's nuts. Last leg of my parlay is Cowboys plus 21. I don't know, man. I don't think that happens because Pickett's the quarterback. How effective? If it was Jalen Hurts, I'd say, yeah, probably, 21 points. Well, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me reread this. I'm getting a little tired here. Last leg of my parlay is Cowboys plus 21. Yes, I think the Cowboys easily win plus 21. The Cowboys might only lose by 10 because Pickett's the quarterback. It might be a much closer game than you think. Even with CD Lamb out, Cooper Rush can throw the ball. There's no doubt about that. I have no question of whether or not Cooper Rush can throw the ball. He can. All right. He's thrown the Tolbert and Turpin and all those guys. Now I sound like an idiot, don't I? Let me just go to Dallas, make sure I'm not getting everybody confused because I'm tired. Yeah, Cooks, Turpin. Oh, I guess Tolbert is questionable, but is it Turpin who's like really fast or Tolbert? I don't know. I get them confused, but one of them is like super duper fast. Like he could still put up good points. So yeah, I think 21's fine. I think that's almost too much at this point. Brees, Achane, or A. Jones. Pick two. I'd go Aaron Jones, and I'd probably go Brees over Achane because Tua is probably not going to play, and you're going to need to know that before the Brees or check in the morning for the report with see if there's anything new on Tua. But other than that, I don't think he's probably going to play. So you're going to have to play Brees because Achane does not score enough. Flacco or Bryce Young, head hurts. Opponent has JT. I'd have to go Bryce Young because he's at least been putting up 20 points or 19 points 2 of the last 4 weeks. Flacco in his last game looked awful. I think only one game this year he's had over 19 or 20 points. I had McBride and Higgins. Yeah, Preston, your avatar says it all with the big open mouth laughing at all of us, huh? I'm telling you, McBride and Higgins alone, you're going to win. Like, that's it. Like, as long as your other guys just do average, get tens, you'll be fine. Ridley or McMillan? Ridley's been a little bit all over the place. I would go McMillan. Let's see. Don't forget to hit follow. I go live almost every single day. We have 8,100 follows. Can we get it to 8,500? That would be awesome. And then I'll probably say, can we get it to 9,000? That would be awesome. Flacco or Bryce Young? I got to go Bryce Young. Flacco looked awful the last time. His last game, Bryce Young's been decent. I already said that, though. I'd go McMillan over Ridley. McMillan, for 3 weeks in a row, has put up in the teens. Ridley has not done that. Ridley's not a bad play, but a lot more risk, a lot more questions behind him. Running Amon-Ra, BTJ, and London in the championship game. Okay, London has been extraordinarily average, 8 to 12 points the last 4 weeks. BTJ has a tougher matchup than you think. All right. Because let's see. Tennessee against wide receivers, the Titans are ninth. They only give up 20.3. So it'll be a little bit tougher matchup. He should still do well, but wait, this thing jumped all over the place. Achane or Ford, Tracy or Madison. Are these all new? Oh man. Achane. Wait, I was just talking about somebody. I think my chat jumped. I'm sorry, guys. Guess who started Higgins this week? I'm guessing you did. Ridley or McMillan? I'd go McMillan. Achane or Ford? Okay, here's a good one. Ford and Achane are obviously playing each other. So if Tua plays, I would play Achane. If Tua doesn't play, oh God, this is a tough one because Ford doesn't. I mean, the Browns don't have Njoku. DTR. I was at the game last week, Cleveland and Cincinnati. Without Njoku, he only made 3 or 4 yard passes like the whole game. He barely moved the ball. Without Tua, I would go with Ford. If Tua plays, and you'll be able to know this because you don't have neither one of these guys are the early game. If Tua plays, definitely play Achane. Tracy or McMillan? Tracy or McMillan? That's a good question. Let me see what the experts say real quick. Tracy or McMillan? Let's see. Don't forget to hit that follow button, guys. I go live every single day, or just about. I'll be live through all of week 18 to help you all out. What was it, Tracy? Wait, Tracy or McMillan? Okay, Ignacio, you don't have to spam me. We only have a few people. Tracy or Spears? I would go with Spears. Okay, I'll get that out of the way. Jacob, Debo or London? I would go London. At least he gets you 8 to 12. Debo could get you 5. He could get you 15. He's a bigger risk than most players. Okay, I would go London. But what was I got to go back to what I was looking up. Oh, Brian Robinson Jr., AJ Brown. I would go Brian Robinson Jr. Is Jason Sanders a safe start with Tua doubtful in the Cleveland weather? Who was I looking up? Achane or Ford? I think I answered that. Tracy or Madison? Was that it? Devontae or Ridley? Achane or Ford? Oh my God, I'm getting all confused now. Okay, hold on a second. I was looking up Tracy. Tracy or Madison? Was that maybe it? I'd probably go with Tracy. Yeah, I'd go with Tracy over Madison. Only because Tracy's the clear number one. Madison has Amir Abdullah. Who am I missing here? Achane or Ford? If Tua doesn't play, I'd go with Ford. If Tua plays, Achane. I said that one already, though. Or I've said it a number of times. Start 2, Shakir, Downs, McMillan, Thielen, Garrett Wilson. Honestly, I'd go McMillan or Thielen. They're steadier. If you want to take a little bit of risk, you could put in Downs and or Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson has a favorable matchup against Buffalo. Buffalo's pretty bad against wide receivers. Also, if you're on YouTube, hit that like button. Please hit that like button. I don't remind enough. Hit the like button. We're at 8,200 on TikTok. Let's get it to 85. Also on YouTube, hit subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Hit subscribe so you know when I'm on live. And definitely, if you're on TikTok, hit that follow button. I'll be live tomorrow morning. Okay, Shakir, Downs, McMillan, Thielen, Garrett Wilson. I would go Thielen and McMillan because they've been pretty steady. Now, Downs could be a good play because apparently Flacco likes to throw to Downs, and Flacco is the quarterback. Garrett Wilson has a favorable matchup because they're playing Buffalo. However, Adams gets the majority of the passes or the money passes, whatever you want to call it. He's the one scoring all the points, so that worries me. I would probably go McMillan or Thielen. And if you wanted to drop one of them and put in Garrett Wilson because you like the matchup, or you thought Downs with Flacco might be good, I would probably drop McMillan because he has to compete with Evans for the catches and go Thielen and Downs or Thielen and Garrett Wilson. But truthfully, I'd go McMillan and Thielen. Is Jason Sanders a safe start? I just want to make sure. There's so many people that are on injury reports. I just want to make sure that. Yeah, well, he's not, obviously, as a kicker. Cleveland against kickers. Let's just see. Let's see how Cleveland does against kickers. 8-3, 11, 8-5. The only thing about it, you know what? I think he's a safe start because he's playing for Miami. Now, Miami might not be able to move the ball. That's the only worry that I would have. But if they can move the ball a little bit, he might be doing all the plays, like all the kicking. You know what? Let's look this up. Week 3, he had 3. Week 4, he had 9. Week 5, he had 12, 4, 11, 9. So without Tua, he was putting up double digits. So, yeah, I think Sanders is a safe play this week. Don't forget to hit that follow button on TikTok. Ford or Spears? I would go Spears. It's a much better matchup. He's put up 20 and 24 points as the number 2. This week, he's the number 1. There is no Pollard playing. Thielen or Jameson Williams or Devontae Smith. I would not do Devontae Smith. I would do Thielen. Jameson Williams is the number 2. He's a little inconsistent. Thielen's a little more consistent. He's the clear number 1 and has a decent matchup against Tampa Bay. Devontae Smith obviously has Pickett throwing him the ball or hopefully throwing him the ball. So that's the way I look at it. Laporta or Okonkwo. Adams or Drake London, I would go Adams. Buffalo is not good. He's been putting up big points. Drake London has not been putting up anything really over 12 points over the last month. Laporta or Okonkwo? This is a good question. I've had people might have gotten. I don't think I got a Laporta question though. San Francisco. So 49ers versus the Jags. 49ers and Jags. 49ers are 6th against tight ends. The Jags are tied for 15th. So Chig actually has the better matchup. And when I say 49ers give up 4.4, Jacksonville gives up 7.0. It's 2.5 points. That's big when you're talking 7 points. I would go with Chig. And he's been relatively consistent. Now, if Laporta got you to the dance and you want to play Laporta, I'm not against that. The experts all pick Laporta. So the experts pick Laporta. I'm picking Chig based on the matchup. So, it's really your call at the end of the day. They're saying Sam Laporta is a better tight end. I'm saying Chig has a better matchup. That's the difference. Should I start Tyrone Tracy or Jerome Ford? I would start Tracy. Well, hold on a second. Oh, no. The Colts are 14. Yeah. And Miami is 7th. Yeah. I would go Tracy. Wasn't that it? Guerendo, Ford, or Tracy? I'd go Guerendo. He has a better matchup. Ford has a tough matchup. Tracy has a relatively tough matchup. But Detroit, believe it or not, against the run is 23rd. They give up 21.3 points to players. All right. Don't forget to hit that follow button. We're at 8,200 likes. Can we get to 8,500? Chig or Ertz? I would go Chig. Brandon Aubrey or McManus. Cowboys without CD, and the rain scares me. Well, let's look up McManus. I'd go McManus. Cowboys without CD, and the rain scares me. Yeah, I'd go McManus. He's had back-to-back good weekends. Good games, rather. Played Connor over Spears. Michael. Well, Spears hasn't played yet. I mean, we're only assuming he's going to have a good game. Connor got re-injured. Sometimes you can't help, or he got injured. He either got a new injury or he re-injured something. So Spears or Garendo, I'd go Spears. Malik Neighbors would be rookie of the year with any other quarterback. That could be the case. I haven't looked at it that well. Here's the thing about Malik Neighbors. That could be the case, but yeah, that's true. That's I mean, the second half of the season or after like what week 6, once he got hurt, once he got the concussion, he never really had those same weeks, back to back to back. Jennings, Myers, or Thielen. I would go Thielen. He's more consistent. Myers hasn't been putting up great numbers. Jennings has not been putting up great numbers and very inconsistent. McMillan or Madison. Madison is going to share or split some of the carries with Amir Abdullah. That worries me. McMillan splits it with Evans, but McMillan has been putting up. Oh, why did I get rid of that? But McMillan, even though he's had 14, 16, 19. I think McMillan's the way to go. He's putting up good points, even though he's splitting. He's obviously really part of that defense. He's playing with the Giants' third string quarterback. Justin Jefferson would have had those numbers. Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah. I mean, we can speculate. I'm not disagreeing with you, Michael Scalia. I'm not disagreeing with you. He started off awesome. He was awesome. And it went haywire after that. Okay, Miami versus Philadelphia defense. Here's what I've been saying all week or today. No Njoku, I think, helps out Miami's defense. The best defense, the better defense is Philadelphia. If you just want a pure good defense, you put in Philadelphia. If you want a defense that is based on a matchup, you go Miami. Because I think they can get 15. I don't know that Philadelphia gets 15. Dallas, Cooper Rush can throw the ball. He put up some good numbers over the last few weeks. They still, even without, they have Turpin, they have Tolbert, I think. I think he's questionable, though. They have Cooks, so they can throw the ball. So I'm not worried about that as much. Okay, we're at 8,400 likes. Let's get to 8,500. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you know when I go live. I'll be live tomorrow. Achane or Aaron Jones? I would go Aaron Jones. He has a decent matchup, and you don't have to worry about two of them. Neighbors or Achane? Neighbors plays the 1 Eastern game. Achane plays the 4 Eastern game. Unless in the morning there's reports like before the 1 o'clock game, the Neighbors game, unless it says Tua is definitely playing, I would start Neighbors. If Tua plays and you find that out before the Neighbors game, I would put in Achane. Bucky Irving or Achane. I would go Bucky Irving because Tua's probably not going to play. Jonnu or Chig, same reason. No Tua, no Jonnu. I would go with Chig. And Chig's game is, of course, the 1 o'clock Eastern game. So unless you know something in the morning or before that 1 o'clock game, I would have to go with Chig. Jerome Ford or Isaac Garendo, I would go Garendo. He has a much more favorable matchup. Addison or Downs, I would go with Downs because apparently Flacco does like to throw 2 downs. Jonnu or Chig, did I just answer this one? I think I did. I might have. I would go Chig because Jonnu, unless Tua, okay. Chig has the 1 p.m. game. Jonnu has the 4 p.m. game. Tua, you won't know specifically until 90 minutes before, which means Chig's game's already started. If before Chig's game, it says Tua is definitely going to play, if it says that, I would stick with Jonnu. More than likely, it's not going to say anything. And I would go with Chig because if you wait to find out if Tua 90 minutes before the game, that means Chig's game's already started and you will not have started him. And so you'll have to go with Jonnu and he could put up 3 points. Tracy Jr. or Garendo, I would go Garendo. Achane or Spears or Ford or B-Rob, pick 2. I would go Spears. Atlanta against the run. I have not looked this up. Atlanta against the run is pretty decent. They give up 13.9, but I would go probably B-Rob. Ford doesn't have. Miami is 14.4. The Falcons are 13.9. But remember, they don't have Jonnu, so they might stack the box. Plus DTR, Cleveland's quarterback, also runs the ball. So it might even take away from some of the things that Ford is able to do. I just think their offense is really ugly with DTR as the quarterback. So that's why I would go with B-Rob. Spears and B-Rob. If Tua plays, and you know that early in the day before the 1 o'clock games, which it's 90 minutes before Achane's game, Miami's game to be specific. But maybe in the morning they put something out. If Tua's definitely playing, play Achane and Spears. But if you don't hear anything, or it's bad news, go Spears and B-Rob. Will Dallas put up high points? Probably not. I mean, Philadelphia has a very good defense. I mean, maybe they'll score 24. Cooper Rush can throw the ball, and he's going to have targets. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is an elite wide receiver. We all know that, but Tolbert, Turpin, Cooks, if all those guys play, that's a pretty formidable lineup, especially with, and I get them confused, is it Turpin or Tolbert who's really, really, really fast? But I think they'll be fine. I mean, I think, they'll put up some points. Now, will they get to Philadelphia? I don't know. Will Pickett throw a lot of interceptions or will Pickett throw a lot of touchdowns? I don't know. I don't know how good he's going to be. At least with Cooper Rush, I know now that he can throw the ball and he puts up pretty good numbers. And he allowed CeeDee Lamb to have a value. Rodgers or Bryce, my quarterback is out. Over the last 6 weeks, Aaron Rodgers has gone over 19 points one time. That was against Jacksonville. Now, Buffalo is not a very good team for quarterbacks. It's not a good team it's a good team for They're not very good against quarterbacks, running backs, or wide receivers. But Bryce Young has been playing pretty well, and he has a decent matchup against Tampa Bay. Here's the way I'm going to say this. If you want to go with Bryce Young, he's a safe pick. He can probably get you 20 points. If you want to roll the dice in hopes that Rodgers takes advantage of the Bills' bad defense, and they have a bad defense, okay? It's going to catch up to them in the playoffs, but they have a bad defense. If you want to play Rodgers, go ahead and play Rodgers. I would say Rodgers probably has the biggest of ranges from 12 points to 30. I think Bryce is probably 13 to 21. All right. So if you want the higher ceiling, if you need the points, go with Rodgers. If you want a kind of a steadier upper teens kind of quarterback, go with Bryce Young. All right. I always take long with that because I want to explain myself. Juwan or Jacob, standard league. I guess I would go with Juwan. Jacob just has not been putting up significant points. And you got to figure that, Jennings. Well, the thing with Jennings is he's hot and cold. Let me see here. Jennings. What has he done? He's had 7-4, 24-7. See, the thing with Jennings is he's either a home run hitter or a strikeout. Like he gets 7-4, 24-7, 6, 20, 12.8. I mean, if he was at least getting 24 and then another double digit around it, I would be happy. But let's see what Jacoby Myers has been doing, because that was the other guy, right? Myers. Whew, I've been on almost 3 hours, guys. Myers 5, 8, 10, 12. Oh, my God. And against Jacksonville, he had 5 points. And they're not that great. New Orleans. I would probably go Jennings. I'd go Jennings. Jerome Ford or Achane if Tua is out. I'd probably go Jerome Ford. Even though Njoku's not playing, I think Jerome Ford probably gets at least 10 points. I don't think he's a total disaster. Maybe let's say at least 8 points. Achane might get 6. He didn't do so well when Tua wasn't the quarterback. Oh, this is a new one. Pick 2. Ridley, McMillan, Kendre Miller, Abdullah, or Garendo. I'd go McMillan and Garendo. Ridley's a little inconsistent. Kendre Miller did not show me anything. Abdullah has been good. All right. So if you want to not play Garendo and you want to play Abdullah, I would do it. But Garendo's clearly the number one. Abdullah's going to share time with Madison, but Abdullah's had 16, 17 points the last couple of weeks. McMillan's had 3 weeks in a row where he's had good points in the teens. So I'd go McMillan. And if you want to roll the dice a little bit and go with Abdullah, you can. If you want someone that at least gets you 10 points, I'd go with Garendo. He could maybe get a little bit more. He did get 25, but he has 9s before and after that 25 game. So, and I think he got hurt when he got 9 points. So he could have had more. But I'd go McMillan or Garendo. It's a good matchup. And I don't necessarily love that Raiders offense, but they're getting a running game somehow. I mean, it's late in the season. They said literally 6 weeks ago that they were going to start their running game. That's when I grabbed Madison, but that never happened. All right, let's do a quick reset. Hit that follow button on TikTok. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It's free in both scenarios, or whatever else you're watching in. You can do that. Hit that like button on TikTok. Hit that like button on YouTube. You can only do it once on YouTube. You can keep pressing it on TikTok. We're at 8489. Oh, we just crossed 85. Now I'm going to say it like I always do. Can we get to 9,000? All right. Ace asks, start 2, Tyreek, Achane, Myers, Ford, Mooney. Good God. Okay. Tyreek and Achane with Tua probably not playing scare me. Ford is okay. Mooney is okay. Myers has not been putting up points. If Tua can play, I would say Tyreek and Achane. But Myers, the Raiders play the early game. Miami plays a later game, so you're not going to know whether or not Tua's probably playing, unless in the morning they put out a report that he's going to be active. But they're probably not going to do that until 90 minutes beforehand, which means the early game's already going to be going on. But Cleveland, Ford plays the late game. Mooney, the Falcons play that night's game. So you could wait. And if Tua doesn't play, you could wait and say, okay, I'm going to start Tyreek and Achane. Then you find out Tua doesn't play definitively. 90 minutes before game time at 2:30 Eastern, or let's say it's 2:40 Eastern because it's usually about 10 minutes late. Tua's not playing. Then you can put in Ford and Mooney. There you go. Hall or Garendo? I've answered this one a bunch tonight too. I'd go Garendo. He probably gets you 10 to 14 points at least. Hall could get you more, but he could also get you like 6 or 7 points. Or okay, let's just say 7 or 8 points, let's say. He's got a wider range. He's a little bit more risky. He has not been putting up good, solid points. Garendo has a favorable matchup. Believe it or not, Detroit is not very good against running backs. Goff or Baker. Oh, that's just okay. Thank you actually for spamming me. Goff or Baker because it came up again. I have Amon-Ra and I am down a lot in my fantasy championship. Very good question. Let's see. Carolina against quarterbacks and San Francisco against quarterbacks. Let's look it up. San Francisco's number 5. They give up 18. So that's going to be a tougher matchup for Goff. Now, Tampa Bay plays Carolina, and Carolina's 24th. They give up 22.9. Based on the matchup, I would go Baker Mayfield. And overall, I've been looking up Goff. I haven't looked up Baker today. He's on my teams. I know he's a little bit more consistent than he had been. 23, 29, 21, then 12 against Carolina. He had 12 against Carolina, and you go, oh my God, he's playing Carolina again. In my, I did proprietary research. There's a video on both YouTube and TikTok about this. You should watch it. It's when a player plays a team for a second time. When a player has between 10 to 15 points, the first time he plays a team, he goes up the second time he plays 70% of the time, which means there's a good chance Baker Mayfield gets into the 20s. And there's really no reason that he shouldn't, number one, based on what Carolina does against quarterbacks. So I would go Baker Mayfield in this scenario. You have a good problem, though. Either one is going to probably have a good game, but you have to remember, too, Baker Mayfield is kind of playing for everything right now because aren't they behind? Let me just look this up. Aren't they behind the Falcons again? Let me just see here. The Falcons have the tiebreaker. Tampa Bay's 9th, so they need to win. They need to win to get in. So they're going to, not that Goff's already made the playoffs. It's just now a question of, are they going to have home field advantage? I know that's a big deal, but Baker Mayfield has to win. Otherwise, he's not playing in 2 weeks. Pick one, Debo, Addison, Reed, or Reek. Okay, Tyreek has no value without Tua. None whatsoever. Addison, here's the problem I have with Reed. They throw to 4 wide receivers in Green Bay. Is it Reed's week? Is it Dobbs week, Wicks week, Watson's week? I don't know. Okay. And it's really, really hard to tell. I'd go Addison against Green Bay. I don't love that matchup at all. Green Bay against wide receivers is number 6. They give up 17.8. That's not great. My chat is jumping all over the place. I'd go Addison and Debo probably because I don't think. Well, Reed's just okay. You know what? I would go Addison if Tua doesn't play. If Tua plays, you go with Tyreek. If Tua doesn't play, I would not go with Tyreek. All right. Then I would go to Addison. Now it's a question of, do I go with Reed or Debo? So I will look this up. I'm sure the experts pick Debo. Yeah, they picked Debo 97-3. Minnesota, the Vikings versus the Lions against wide receivers. The Lions are 27th. The Vikings are 25th. Not much of a difference at all. 26.4 points on average for the Lions against wide receivers and 26.3 for the Vikings. So basically a tie. Debo Samuel, 21, 3, 4, 2, 2, 4, 10. Oh, God. Yeah, last week he did great, but I think it's a mirage. I would go Jaden Reed because, yes, he had 0 points 3 weeks ago, but even in a bad week, he can put up 8, as opposed to Debo, who could literally put up 4. So I would go Jaden Reed as a safety net. If you want to roll the dice and take a much bigger risk, you can go with Debo Samuel, but I would go with Jaden Reed. I think the Dolphins-Browns, that's in Florida, right? No, it's in Cleveland. Is that a full rain? Okay. Is it going to rain tomorrow? Well, here's the thing about the Dolphins game, guys. Neither team probably will have a decent quarterback. So, yeah, they're going to run more, but they're just going to stack the box. They're going to force both teams to throw the ball. So, whether it's raining or not, that game's not going to be pretty if Tua doesn't play. And, okay, maybe Achane has more points than Ford, but it might be like 10-8 more points, Commanders-Falcons games scare you. Do the weather conditions of Dolphins-Browns and Commanders-Falcons? The Dolphins-Browns doesn't scare me because that game has the chance of being pretty ugly. with DTR for the Browns and backup for the Dolphins, who earlier in the season they could not put up points. Now, what does that mean for the Commanders Falcons game? Well, it means they're going to rely on B Rob and Bijan Robinson, which is so weird to say that they're both sort of B Robs, kind of. So I'm going. It doesn't really scare me, Dolphins Browns, because Tua is probably out. It's probably going to be an ugly game. Commanders Falcons could make it ugly. Penix in the rain could be ugly. Jaden Daniels can beat you with his feet, so maybe it's not as scary. I mean, it's scary, but maybe he can figure out a way to do it. I still think the Commanders win that game. I think Daniels probably somehow either runs in one and throws for one, but he gets 2 touchdowns either way tomorrow. The Commanders defense isn't too bad. Falcons is, I think, rated a little better than it really is. Against wide receivers, they're 21. The Commanders are 12th. So if it's pouring down rain and it's a swamp, yeah, it's going to totally affect the game, because you can't even run in those conditions. I mean, think about it. You really can't even run when it's so sopping wet, where you squish, squish, squish. And those fields are set up to drain easily. Hey, we have 10,000 likes. Way to go, guys. 33 followers. I hope you guys on YouTube are following. I hope you're liking on YouTube as well. You can only like once, but would love to get a bunch of likes. And let's see, 34 followers. All right. HN or Garrett? Look, if Tua doesn't play, you got to go with Garrett. But Garrett has the early game. So again, and I don't know how to say this any quicker than I'm going to. By the time you find out, you won't find out about Tua until 2:30 Eastern. At 1 o'clock Eastern, Garrett will be playing in a game. The only way to find out anything that way then is if they play a little bit earlier, or I'm sorry. If there's reports that come out earlier in the morning about Tua and that he's active. Otherwise, I would assume that he's not playing, and I would go with Garrett. Reek or Devontae Smith, boy, that's a bad decision. With two probably new or backup quarterbacks, I would say Reek is probably out. Devontae Smith, again, it's a 1 o'clock game and a 4 o'clock game. Eastern time, I'm talking now. So by the time you make up your mind about Reek, you would have already had to commit to Devontae Smith. So in some ways, it's a gamble to play Reek, because there's a good chance Tua won't be playing and you won't get any points with Tyreek. So you almost have to go Devontae Smith. I don't think he has much value, though, with Pickett as the quarterback. Hockenson or Kraft, I would go Kraft. Hockenson doesn't really put up a lot of points. Ford or Spears, I would go Spears. It's a much better matchup. Devontae Smith or McMillan, I would go McMillan. Devontae Smith with Pickett at quarterback doesn't have much value. Ford or Spears. Wait, I just answered that one. Spears. Achane or Garrett, I just answered that one. Okay, we have a bunch of new ones. All right. Oh boy, okay. We are getting some I'm going the wrong way. What's going on with this? My mouse is not going in the right direction. We're at 2 hours and 58 minutes. Good God. Colts, Eagles, or Dolphins defense? You have 3 defenses on your team. N-Train? I doubt it. One of these or 2 of these, you're getting off the waiver wire, but I'll answer it. Look, the Colts play the Giants. The Giants are awful at offense. The Dolphins play Cleveland. Cleveland's awful at defense. No. They're awful at offense. Cleveland's awful. And the fact that Njoku isn't around makes the Dolphins even better. Here's what I'm thinking. The Eagles are the best defense out of those 3 teams. But I feel like the Dolphins have a better matchup now that Njoku's out, because DTR can't really throw the ball. And the one person who was getting points last week outside of Jerome Ford was Njoku. And without Njoku, and he's a big body. I mean, that he's a big guy in there. He's perfect tight end looking guy, So I really, at this point, yesterday I was saying Indianapolis. Today I've been saying Miami. But remember, if Philadelphia got you to the dance, go with Philadelphia. They got you to the dance. They're not awful. It's just that the last 2 weeks, teams that play Cleveland, teams that play the Giants have been having good weeks. So you might want to go with Miami, but the safe bet is just go with Philadelphia. Who's starting at running back for Panthers since Hubbard is hurt? Someone with the last name of Blackshear. I can't remember his first name. I would not endorse him. He hasn't played in a lot of games. He played last week and he got 1.3 points, and that's it. All right. So that's not really great. Darnold or Young, I would go Darnold. Achane, Ford, Jennings, Spears, start 2. Well, I would start Achane only if Tua's playing. I would definitely start Spears. Jennings can be very inconsistent. I would look, gun to my head, if Tua doesn't play, and there's a good chance he doesn't, the good thing about it is Jennings plays on Monday, so you can hold that spot. You can wait for Achane. And Spears, well, Spears plays early. Ford plays late, and Jennings plays late. So you can actually wait to see if Tua is going to play or not. And if Tua doesn't play and you've waited, I would go Jennings and Ford. Jennings and Ford. Otherwise, I do think that Spears will be the better play, but you're starting 2. So you could theoretically play Spears and then wait to hear about Tua and either play Achane if Tua's playing or Ford or Jennings. And I would go with Ford over Jennings. If Tua doesn't play, Spears and Ford. If Tua plays, Spears and Achane. Darnold or Young, I already answered. Who do I pick up? I don't know who's available. Stroud, I'm not trying to be mean. Who do I pick up for running back? Who's available? Who are the top guys that are available? Is Madison available? Is Amir Abdullah available? I would pick those guys up if they're available. The thing about this Blackshear, the backup with Carolina, like I said, he hasn't really played a lot. He only had 1.3 points last week. I can't really, in good faith, say, "Oh yeah, start him. He's going to do really good for you." Tua ain't playing. Yeah, he's probably not playing. You're probably right. Start Okonkwo over Jonnu? Yes, unless for some reason, but you have to make Okonkwo's decision before you know about Tua, unless they put information out about Tua before the 1:00 game, which they probably won't do. So you'll probably need to start Okonkwo. Whew. All right. Don't forget to like on YouTube and TikTok. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Definitely hit subscribe on YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything. And hit follow. Please hit follow on TikTok. With Tua out, would you play Ford or McMillan over Tyreek? I would play McMillan. It's a little bit better matchup. I know that he splits things with Evans, but he's put up good points the last 3 weeks. Ford with Njoku not playing and with DTR at quarterback, I think is going to have a long day. Bills or Lions defense? I think the Bills defense might give up some points. So I would go Lions. You figure San Francisco, might not go hog wild completely. I'm mad. Cup did me dirt. Yeah, Cup. Alex, you shouldn't have been playing Cup. I'm not trying to be mean. Cup fooled me twice. He had a bad week, then he had a good week, then he had now 3 bad weeks in a row. After that, good week or bad week, good week, bad week, I stopped playing him. Didn't play him at all. Okay, are you asking about Kyren Williams or Judy? Wait. You're thinking about it. There's another Williams. See, I'm very literal with this, guys. Who's the other K Williams? Oh, I guess it's only Kyron Williams, but Kyron already played. K Williams. What am I missing? Mike Williams? Devontae Williams? DJ Caleb Williams? Caleb Williams? I'm confused. James Cook or Tajay Spear, and why? I love when people ask me why, because that's what my channel's all about. Okay, let me just get back to OK, which is his name or her name, their name. K Williams or Judy? Kyron already played, but I would go Kyron Williams over Judy because DTR is the quarterback and he's not very good. If it's Kyron Williams, I don't know who the other K Williams. You mean Jay Williams, like Jameson Williams? I would go Jameson Williams over Judy. I just don't know who K is. I had McMillan and Mooney. Okay. James Cook or Tajay Spears, and why? The only thing I have to say about James Cook is, are the Bills going to play their starters the whole game? If you don't think they are going to, and they might not, because maybe they're up big against the Jets, or maybe the whole plan all along is because they really don't have much to play for. They're going to win their division. They're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to be number one and get, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So for that reason, they might not play all week or all game. And so that's why I would go with Tajay Spears for that reason. That's the only reason I'm thinking. Now, if in the morning they say, oh no, these guys are going to play all game, then you can go with James Cook because you know what you're getting. But my fear is they take him out early. I had McMillan and Mooney. Good job, Alex. I'm still predicted to win the finals. Good job. McBride gave me 30 points. Oy, oy, oy. Awesome. You are him. McBride is him. Yes, he is. Aaron Jones or Breece Hall? I would go with Aaron Jones. He has a good matchup. Breece Hall is a risk. He hasn't been putting up good points. He may have a higher ceiling, but he could also not put up good points. I'd go Aaron Jones. I would not go Achane because there is no Tua. And when Tua wasn't around earlier in the season, he was not putting up really good points. Should I go with Jonnu even with the bad weather in Cleveland, or do I risk it and go with Hawk? Levi Garcia. I would not play Jonnu because Tua's not probably going to play unless you know Tua's going to play. And the Hawkinson game is another late game. I mean, you could see it. Okay, 90 minutes before game time. So at 2:30 Eastern, you'll know, or 2:40 Eastern, you'll know about Tua. If Tua's playing, you can play Jonnu. Hawkinson plays at 4:25. So if Tua's not playing, don't play Jonnu and play Hawkinson. Don't forget, everybody, to hit that like button. Hit that like button, whether you're on YouTube or TikTok. Also, on both channels, you can hit follow on TikTok. You can hit subscribe on YouTube. It doesn't cost you a dime. That way you know when I go live. I'll be live in the morning. I'm Central Time, and it's 12:17. I hate to do this because I do have a good number of people online, but I'm going to end the stream. I've been doing this for over 3 hours now, and it's after midnight and I am completely wiped out. So I will be live tomorrow before kickoff to help with any questions, so you can jump back on then and look for me. Otherwise, definitely hit follow, definitely hit subscribe. Hit subscribe on YouTube, hit follow on TikTok. It does not cost you anything. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. I will see you in the morning. Thanks for watching.